It's mic'd up with Mikie Mahtook. Got the boys in. I got Lloyd. We got Mitch. We got Jackie Boyd.
He tried to jump up, and he might have knocked it in.
Good timing. Let's go. What a start to the Monday. I mean, I'm from Lafayette. My boys will come in and say,
Oh, God.
So me and Joe on the ground. I got Joe in the headlock. And he's sitting there. He's punching me in the stomach, like, punching me.
Here, is everyone sitting around? Who here thinks Chico can practice today after having 5 full beers? And he goes, Chad Jones, right? Chad's doing the team 6 minutes. For 7 minutes, right? Chad's like, no, man, I don't think Chico can practice today. And I was like, I look back and I'm like, Jesus Christ. I saw you there. You were more fucked up than me.
On the spirit plane had some issues, I think. She was sleep farting.
You heard her or you just thought it was her?
I sat right next to her. I smelled.
Whoa. What was that?
Time to go to the show. I'm late. Like, I don't even know what I'd be doing.
Now, when you do go to spring training, are you gonna bring your chinchilla and your turtle? My dad tell you about it.
The SEC is, God, they hate fat people. I mean, I get crushed for that. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, man.
Hey, just the South, bro. You got a bunch of food down here. Like they should.
Players, look at Lloyd.
You know what, Lloyd?
You're looking for a recruiting coordinator, coach. I'm here.
He's like, I'll piss my pants right now.
No way.
We're wearing gray pants, long gray pants. He goes, I'll piss my pants right now. Hello. Welcome back to Mic'd Up. Today is Monday, October 30th. It is the eve of Is it All Hallows Eve? Is that a thing?
Yeah, sure.
Sure, we can start it today. Yeah, why not?
This is the eve before Halloween. I guess that's All Hallows Eve. I don't know.
What are you gonna be?
I am dressing up as nothing.
Oh.
Unfortunately. I don't have a reason to dress up. I wish I did. I do love Halloween. Halloween in college was great. You know, you could see the party over the weekends. LSU was off this past weekend, so you got to have a lot of people got to, you know, be stress-free and enjoy themselves over the weekend, not have to worry about either rallying on Saturday for a football game or rallying on Sunday for whatever Sunday brings. But it is Halloween tomorrow. We have a lot of sports talk today for you. Obviously, LSU was off last weekend. Like I said, it gives everybody a little bit of a break from the stressfulness of LSU and the questions about what's going to happen in the secondary. Actually, doesn't remove anyone from thinking about what's going to happen on the secondary. All it does is it allows people to have 2 weeks to talk about what's going to happen in the secondary. Those conversations are ramping up because Brian Kelly, as we talked about last week, our producer, Lloyd, thought that Deuce Chestnut and Denver Harris are going to be available to play this weekend. My co-host, Jared Mitchell, and myself did not think they were going to be available this weekend based off of principle, based off of what Ryan Kelly is trying to establish within the clubhouse and locker room, which I agree with. He announced that they are not available. So that is Zy Alexander obviously out with injury. Denver Harris not playing. Deuce Chestnut not playing. They haven't gotten their stuff right off the field, so they are no longer – I say they're no longer. They are still with the team, but they are not available to play this weekend, which goes back to what we had talked about all last week and which we're going to talk about all this week. Who's going to play corner? How are they going to defend Alabama? Vegas thinks that there's something, there's a way they're going to be able to defend them because the line opened today at 4.5. Then it went down to 4. Then it went down to 3.5. And it's currently sitting at 3 with the over at 60. So Vegas thinks that there's a way for them to defend them. We will talk about that throughout the course of the week. Today is Monday, which means it is Moffitt Method Mondays. But before we get to the Moffitt Method Mondays, we have member of the G Team, a regular guest on our show on Mondays.
Not dressed for Halloween.
Or dressed for Halloween.
That's what he wears every Monday.
Keith DeCarlo, this is his uniform for the show.
Guys, been going for Halloween for a couple weeks now.
Listen, we've gotten educated. We've been educated by Keith DeCarlo for the last about 5 or 6 weeks. He took a week off because he was hunting with all the big dogs up there in South Dakota, but he's back. Right. You brought the weather down here from South Dakota.
Yes, indeed.
You're back on the show another Monday, another law education 101, which Lloyd has thanked you about. We have thanked you for. I know people that have listened, hopefully they have learned some things. But before we get into that, LSU is off, right? You're not just an LSU fan, though. You're a New Orleans Saints fan. And New Orleans Saints fans were getting real close to getting the bag back. Right?
Close, real
All
close.
of a sudden, they go on the road, and they have their best offensive performance of the year, and they win 38-27. And they are now 4-4, tied for first in the division with the Falcons, who just made a quarterback change. They don't know if it's permanent or not permanent, but felt like the offense got better. Defense didn't have their best game, tightened up towards the end of the game. What did you like? What did you see? And how frustrating have you been being from New Orleans, watching the Saints do what they do, and say, hey, listen, we've had a schedule of 8 games where we probably should be 7-1, maybe 6-2.
Yeah, I mean, it was nice to kind of see things go right offensively for a change. We finally started to make some plays in the red zone. We looked a lot better, which has been miserable to watch all year. But finally, converting in the red zone when we had the chance, that was the biggest thing for me that stood out.
Completing deep balls over the middle of the field to Shaheed, I think has been huge. Obviously, he is better. He's better than just a return guy. I mean, he's showed his value as a wide receiver. Michael Thomas looks really good. Alvin Kamara's back sharp. Chris Olave's still going through some things.
Yeah.
Look, I respect Derek Carr for continuing to go at him. Look, things happen. Ball got caught in the lights, maybe hit him in the forehead, bounced up. Lucky it wasn't an interception. Messed up my over in yards for the game. Messed up my parlay for the weekend.
Looked like the little Giants.
What's that?
Looked like the little Giants.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Yeah.
But regardless of that, LSU wins. The Saints win. Hopefully LSU wins. They play this weekend against Alabama. What's your take on that?
So, you've
been thinking about it.
I've been thinking about this one for a while.
You're ready.
I mean, this has, all the potential in the world to be Jaden's Heisman game. Like, it
has to be.
I mean,
Has to be. Has to be a
This
moment.
is it. This is his moment. And again, I think the offense is going to go out and they're going to take care of business. They've been firing on all cylinders since the beginning of the season. The defense is concerning me right now. We've got Mikie is out. That's
for
huge.
6 weeks at least.
I mean,
The whole defensive backfield.
defensive backfield is
Out.
about as thin as about as thin as it's ever been.
Right.
Minus the bowl game. In 2021.
Boy, I don't even know if we can count that.
He had 37 players on the team.
Right. So those are obviously some
A guy named
things
Playing Pig starting.
Yeah.
Oh, he hurt himself on a skateboard. He's out for the year for UTSA. Broke his collarbone. Could use him, though.
On a skateboard.
Yeah. I'm sure Tommy Moffitt has some thoughts on that.
Skateboard. He broke his collarbone on a skateboard. Now you're out for the year. That's tough.
Kickflips get you, man.
Tough way to go.
That's a bad look.
It's a tough way to go. That's hard to go in, hey, what happened? That's actually, you go back to the locker room, you go back to the training room, and you're thinking about how can I
You have to practice one
come
day.
up with an excuse. You have to practice with a broken collarbone and say, oh, it just happened. Mm-hmm. But then doctors are smarter than that, and they see like, well, that seems like it's been there for a few days. You couldn't raise your arm to put in. You had to, but that's tough. That's a tough thing to do.
You come in there with the scab on your collarbone.
Yeah, that's a tough thing to do. But the secondary's out. Defense is tough. Front, listen, if there is going to be a position group that can withstand an injury, it's the defensive line. I'm not saying that it's not a good thing that Mikie's out. Obviously, he's been our best defensive tackle, but you've had some other guys step up throughout the course of the year. He's been out for a couple games, so they've had some time to get acclimated with another group of players. The linebackers are as healthy as they've been all year. The secondary is a big issue. How, as a former defender, former linebacker, All-American in high school, cowboy collar, how do you defend, or how would you defend a team like Alabama who hasn't shown too much explosiveness, but you know that they're talented enough to be able to have some big plays offensively, and especially if you're not really familiar with what you're trying to do in the secondary.
Right. So we know that Alabama's offensive line isn't really what it's been in the past. They've given up 30 sacks this year.
Oh, you came with stats today.
Oh, yeah. Oh, look, I came with the stats today. So they've given up 30 sacks. And that's just not something typical of them.
Right.
I think there's, some blitzing that we can do. Even though Milroe's kind of mobile, we've got, guys that can contain him. Not like when we're sending linebackers and all. I think Harold's somebody that he's got that closing speed. You're going to send somebody like him, do some cute stuff on the defensive line. One thing that really –
What's that?
Don't get too cute.
Yeah, not too cute. See the guy with the ball, go get that guy.
Yeah, but I think, because their offensive line isn't what it typically is, and they've given up some sacks, you have the potential to get some pressure on the quarterback, make him make some bad throws. The biggest thing that concerns me is when I watched the Tennessee game a couple weeks ago, some of their biggest plays were, pre-snap motion. They're motioning a receiver right behind another receiver into a stack formation, and then, the receivers are running their
Not only
routes.
did he bring stats, he brought a scouting report. It's unbelievable. This guy, this is. I don't know how you're going to follow this up.
You know where he spends his Saturdays
No
at.
doubt.
So, and obviously we've talked about it all year, defensive back communication's been an issue. So when that's an issue and we've got young guys playing back there that are now going to be playing against some confusing formations, that's something that, we've got to work on this week. Who's got who when they motion and things like that?
So don't you think that would be more of a reason to play zone?
That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been doing that.
That's where I'm at.
I just think you're going to see a lot more zone than
3 to
you may
4
not see any
DBs,
man.
3 to 4 DBs out.
They don't
couple
have to.
D
I'm in on
out.
playing zone against that.
Guys moving
You
around.
have to.
I would be trying to, hey, we got young guys. As much as I don't love the opportunity of it, I would be trying to, how can I simplify this as much as possible so they can play as fast as possible?
And you know who probably has a better answer than all of this? We're going to talk to him about 5 minutes. It's Coach Tommy Moffitt. We can talk about our opinions, but he's seen it. Yeah, he has his own opinion, so he can talk it. And obviously, I'm not discrediting you at all.
All good.
At all. I'm just saying I think that's just a little bit more insight. But yeah, I think zone's probably the move.
No doubt.
And you allow guys to play a little bit safer. Now, if you're going to play zone, you better tackle, right?
Yeah.
There are going to be a lot of underneath completions in holes of zones. Now, when they do that, you've got to make the tackle. Once you start missing tackles, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
Right? But I think that's probably the best way to go at them, and hopefully the defensive line can make some plays, get in there, maybe get a couple turnovers. Here's the deal. If you can pressure Milroe, and when I say pressure, I'm not even saying you got to blitz him and you got to sack him. Get him uncomfortable, get him a little quick with his feet, and let him sail some balls. You can force him into some turnovers, I believe. So I think that's probably the best route. Now, offensively, Alabama's defense has played really well. I just don't know how you stop LSU's offense. I don't know if that's possible, and I don't want to be that naive, but I think LSU is going to score their points.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting. The line has gone down all week. It's at 3. Do you like that?
I do.
You like that?
Yeah, you talking
You
about
like that?
I like that.
Kirk Cousins did not
like
that
that.
this weekend.
A lot of people, a lot of Minnesota fans didn't
Captain
like
Kirk,
that.
I feel bad for Captain Kirk because he's tough, but he did what you expected him to do. He was a good teammate on the sidelines after the fact, and he was having a great year.
Hey, I found out never in his career has he missed a game due to injury.
Well, that's going to change.
Quarterback on Netflix could have fooled me. I would love to hear the
watching
audio
him,
from
watching him
him.
take hits.
That's
Dude's
tough.
taking some shots.
That's tough. But do you like the line?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of figured it would close around 3.5.
Even with all the injuries or the announcements
Well,
that they're not playing?
after today, I thought it was going to move in the other direction. Like, I'm kind of
Yeah.
shocked it's moved the way that it has.
Over under 60, you like that?
I think it hits the over on
I
this
do
one.
too. I do too. I think.
I mean,
I just don't see. I
Hammering.
don't see a way for
Yeah.
it to go underneath.
realistically, like I don't see how it does.
Look,
either.
Lloyd's betting it right now.
Bet of the year?
He's betting the over. I don't see how. that under hits. But you're not here just talking football. You're here about educating us, right? We've talked about a whole slew of legal jargon throughout the course of the last 5 weeks, 6 weeks. Today, the conversation turns to statutes of limitation. And Louisiana's a little weird, and they call statutes of limitation some other terms. I was going to let you have that conversation. This is important for everybody here in case something were to happen, Lloyd, that you know how long you have until it is no longer a case, I guess, or no longer you're no longer able to.
Don't wait
seek
for the warranty to wear out.
retribution.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So explain this.
Yeah, so in Louisiana, you know, the rest of the country typically calls what we're talking about a statute of limitations. Here we call them prescriptive or preemptive periods. And what that means is it's essentially the same thing as a statute of limitations, but it's the amount of time that you have to bring or really to file a lawsuit to preserve your claim. Okay, so and it works differently for different types of cases. There's different amount of time depending on what your case or your claim is. So for example, for a negligence case on like a motor vehicle accident or a slip and fall, you have 1 year from the date of the accident to file a lawsuit in order to make sure you preserve your claim. Now, if you don't file a lawsuit and your case is not settled, you can have your case dismissed or, you know, you are barred from bringing it. So then you are SOL. You're done.
Yeah, nothing.
You are done. So again,
Not even Gordon can fix this.
That's why.
not even we can fix that.
That's why you see a lot of people wait till the last minute and they say, "Oh, well, let me file this lawsuit," and then can you pull the lawsuit back after the case if like you've realized,
366?
you know, like, hey, I want to get this in there, but then you realize,
What if it's a leap year?
well, I don't think that comes into play. I think it still counts at the end of the year.
There actually are certain rules.
Well,
No, see?
there you go. See, I don't have the answers. He does.
This is the answer that Lloyd needs because this
doubt.
it would take him 365.
No doubt. Is it maybe a leap year
6.
next year? I don't know.
Can you file for an extension like your taxes?
No, that doesn't work.
That does not work. That does not work.
Court's not going to be real big on granting the extension there. So you know, for those types of cases, we have a year. Now, if you have a UM claim, that's 2 years.
Uninsured motorist.
The underinsured motorist claim, like we've talked about, you know, earlier or the past couple weeks. For contracts, depending on what type of contract is involved, you know, there are different periods. So, for example, like if you're filing a claim for arrears on rent, that's a 3-year period.
Okay.
If you have a claim against a contractor or an architect for something, you know, it's it could be all the way up to a 10-year period.
What about med mal?
Med mal is typically
That's medical malpractice for all of you who don't know the law.
I thought you meant malfunction.
so
AI.
med mal is a little weird. It's typically 1 year from the date of discovery of the malpractice, okay? But it can never be more than 3 years. So let's say 4 years after the med mal occurred, you know, you finally find out that, oh, well, this malpractice occurred. I've incurred damages.
How would they prove if you found it out when you found it out?
Yeah, again, they're going to go look at your medical
medical
records and things like that. Typically, for a med mal case, you're going to have medical issues later on.
Right.
So that's something you would have brought to the doctor at that point, and they're going to go back and look at all that.
Okay. So statutes of limitations they vary from case to case. In different situations, but on average, for the most part, cases that you see are usually within a year or so.
Typically within a year.
And you have within 365 days to file a lawsuit to be able to get retribution for anything that is retribution the right word?
Restitution.
Constitution.
Constitution, rebulation.
Yeah, I mean, whatever you want to call it. Really, just to settle your claim.
Right. And when you see some of these cases, right, what are some of the types of cases that you see most frequently
Slip
in
and
these
fall.
types of, yeah.
So, I mean, I
of
typically see, tort cases, like the negligence cases, the
Okay.
motor vehicle accidents, the trucking accidents, the slip and falls, dog bites, things like that.
Got it. And if you have any of these cases or any of these things fall in those categories, and you're within that year period, and you're still having some issues, and you want to find out if you have a viable case, who do you call?
Call us with the G team, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys.
What's that number?
888-8888.
See, I like how he breaks up the 2 8s at the end. It's 225-888-8888. I can do that way easier than the 888.
Just keep slamming 8 until you get there.
Yeah, sometimes
That's all you got
Put
to
in
do.
the 225 first, it'll do
give
it
a
for
couple
Yeah.
seconds in between each.
Look,
eight,
any
and at some
area
point
code
it'll
in
start
Louisiana,
ringing.
we got you covered. Any area code in Louisiana, not
That's
just
it.
225.
Yeah, so area code plus
318, yeah.
That's right.
5 8s.
7
8.
7 8.
Wow. Might have a little MedMal case on our
A
hands.
little chilly
Concussion.
outside. A little chilly
Got
outside.
you thrown off.
Wow.
And just for
okay.
word to the wise, don't try to follow, slip and fall if you're under the influence. You will get caught. You can't be under any influence. I learned that in school.
Oh,
I don't know why they told me that.
Did they teach you
Yeah.
that in school, or did they?
I mean, graduate school.
Yeah, that wasn't in school.
They have tried to file.
Is that against
Walmart's got
school
so much
or-
money.
Yeah,
Figured they would
throw
just
the
cash
towel.
that check.
They have some good lawyers too.
Yeah, it seems like
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
like to keep that
225-888-8888. If any of these, if you feel like you fall in any of these categories and you've been within this year period and you feel like you want a consultation on if you have a viable case, call the guys at G Team. Keith, as always, we appreciate you coming on the show. Cannot wait to hear your thoughts next Monday on what happens this weekend.
I hope we can't wait.
Before you go, what's your prediction for the weekend?
I mean, I'd love to see the Tigers cover. It's going to be a close one. I think, we got a legit shot at winning this.
That's such a politically
I
correct
know.
answer right there.
I know, but look.
What does your gut feeling tell you? It's okay. It's okay if you don't feel like we're going to win, or it's okay if you
No,
feel like you're going
and
to
I
win.
just, at this point, I don't know, but I got to
talk
see
to
a
him
few
on
more
Friday.
things.
Yeah.
Look, Friday, I'm putting
40
my house
chips
note
in.
on the
Okay.
Tigers. There's no doubt.
Okay.
I can tell you, I always feel like this on Monday. Come Friday, I'm like ready to run
I'm
through
the
a
same
wall,
way.
fired
I'm the same
up.
way.
Let's go.
I
Tigers.
do love the over. I do love
I do-
that. I know.
Yeah,
So I've
the
already bet
over's a lot.
that. Oh, don't.
Look, hey, I'm just.
Jesus.
It's a lot.
Put the bet in.
Now I want to go the under now. Jeez, that's okay.
We do need to get him. Obviously, G has been saying we need to get him in the moment. I think he needs to leave us a voicemail at halftime of the Alabama game.
Oh yeah.
We can make that happen.
I
Unfiltered
think we should
thoughts.
do that.
We can make that happen.
I think I 1,000,000%. Look, when I see the call, I'm just going to ignore it, not intentionally. I mean, I'm trying to ignore you, but I want you to get to the voicemail. And sometimes I may not ring because maybe I'm in an area, maybe I'm at the Alabama game. Who knows? I'm not going. I'm just joking.
No, but then we'll play it on the show on Monday
No
for
doubt.
him, and you can either.
And then we're going to let you we're going to defend your take, or hey, did they make the changes, or what happened? Yeah, I think
I
it's
like
good-
that.
I like that.
I'm
I like
in on
that.
it.
And we're playing it next Monday.
That's what I'm
Next
saying. Play it
Monday.
for him
Yeah,
on
no
the
doubt.
show, so he has
No
to sit
doubt.
here and listen to himself and be like, "Oh,
Enjoy your Monday. What are you doing for Halloween? Anything?
Halloween.
Giving out candy?
Yeah, I'll be giving out candy. We got a bunch of kids in the neighborhood and
Nice.
stuff like that. It'll be fun.
Us too. Enjoy Monday. Enjoy Halloween. Enjoy this chilly weather.
Absolutely.
Great for duck hunting season coming in a couple
Yes,
weeks.
indeed. Gonna push them down here before the season opens up.
It's gonna be good for you.
don't test me."
Don't try me.
Don't tip me with
Don't
a good
try me. It
time.
flies, it dies, baby. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. As always, we appreciate you. We appreciate the G team. Appreciate you always coming in on Monday. Have a good Monday.
Thanks,
Rest of the
fellas.
night. Love you.
Watch out for razor blades in your candy.
Whoa, Jesus. I
And
think you're the only guy.
marijuana candy.
What?
You haven't seen that?
Why are people so fucked up?
It's just an experience.
Like, why is someone giving?
children.
Why do people want to give adults give children marijuana candy in their Halloween baskets, and why do adults want to put razor blades in their? Like, I don't understand. Like, what the fuck is wrong with
Some
people?
people like to watch the world burn.
Crazy people.
And I think the barrel.
Some people think maybe you be crazy sometimes. Yeah. Some people have seen you hit chairs, break. Your son, I talked to your son today, and he told me since the weather got cold and got chilly, he told me to
ramp it up.
Yeah, ramp up your chili. Yeah, heat up the chili, get you hot.
Yeah.
So
I thought he was going to say no more Moffitt Monday.
He loves it.
We got to go hunting.
I talked to him today. I was like, hey, you need to start working a little bit more with me. You gotta stay here in Baton Rouge. You can't be leaving and doing all this stuff. He was my lunch partner sometimes. Like it's just can't be having you go out there.
He's been in and out of town. We're going to Missouri next weekend, next Sunday.
Oh,
go hunting.
Bow hunting?
Yeah. Bow and gun. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I thought you just did it with your hands.
It's a nice little trip right there.
No.
I don't think that's the move
I've had
right
to
there.
do it. I've had to do it, yeah.
I believe that. You had to kill a deer with your bare
Well,
hands?
one that was shot. I'm not going to say who did it, but he didn't finish the job, so I had to do it. In fact, it's pretty common.
It is. It is. I've shooting a couple of them, and it's great when they just fall and then it's over. You just got to get a good shot. I was one and done. That's great.
So people say that the fun ends when you pull the trigger, when you're hunting, because then that means you got a dead animal and you got to do all the stuff that you got to do.
Yeah. See, I was a rookie deer hunter, so my fun just kept going because I had no other responsibilities. I just had to make sure I got them back there, and they did all the other work.
Somebody else is doing
That's
all
it.
the dirty work.
That's it. Welcome back to Moffitt Method Mondays.
Yeah.
I know you heard a little bit of our conversation before you jumped on here. We talked about last week how you hate the bye week, especially before Bama, because you get 2 weeks to talk about the game, right? Bama is another football game, and you try to make it that way, but it's never just another football game. Everyone wants to talk about it. This year, especially because it feels like there's a lot of parity in college football. It feels like there's a lot of question marks in the secondary of LSU. Also feels like there's a lot of question marks with the Alabama team. Yeah. The line's down to 3. How do you approach this week now? Okay, you're back. Everybody gets off.
Week. It's just like a
normal game week.
Yeah. It's a regular game week, and finally, and everybody, when the horn blows on Monday, everybody's like, golly, it's finally here. So you automatically should get into your routine, regular Monday practice, same classes you had, last week, and you go about your business.
Now, when it gets cold like this, right, everybody thinks of Louisiana like it's hot, humid, you got to hydrate, and it's cold, I don't need to, take care of it because I'm not as dehydrated, even though a lot of times it's cold weather, you get more dehydrated because you don't feel like you need a drink. Is there a different regimen that you take when it gets cold? Not saying it's because it's not going to be super cold this weekend during the game, but it's still going to be a little chilly.
No, hopefully your team is trained. That's one of those things that if you have to keep reminding guys from day to day to hydrate, then you got worse problems.
Yeah.
The weather. So hopefully that's not an issue, but you do. The guys are trained, and they're going to do, because, it's a big game, they're going to do what they have to do every day. Those aren't the kind of things that you worry about. You don't want anybody getting hurt on a skateboard or, something stupid.
We just talked about that.
Yeah.
I think
Former
you heard
LSU guy.
Yeah.
Transferred to UTSA and broke his collarbone on a skateboard. What would you react to that if?
Oh, you just shake your head because when you just shake your head and you're just like,
I don't know what to
classic.
What are you thinking there?
But it was like when the scooters got big,
that was when we were in school.
Yeah, when those cheap.
They're mopeds, kind of.
Yeah, mopeds.
Yeah.
When those things got popular, man, guys would come in, and I heard, I was listening, and y'all were talking about what's the excuse? What do you use? And I've heard some great ones, but the guy is just covered with road rash, and you just shake your head like, what were you thinking?
So we talked.
The classic
talked
example
about
is
statute of
Quincy
limitation,
Wiggins.
right? I think my statute of limitation on the story I'm about to tell has expired. But speaking of those mopeds, so we had a buddy of mine that had one, Grant Dozar, and he was gone.
Wait, you just threw his name out.
As you said, statute of limitations are gone.
Well, this has nothing to do with him because he was gone.
Oh, okay.
It had everything to do with me.
All right, yeah, you got it. Statute of limitations last. I mean, for me, they last for life.
Well, so what happened was he was gone out of town, and I thought it'd be a really good idea to take it and just, and so I'm driving it.
Huh?
Yeah, I thought it was a good day, good time. And so I'm driving, and I'm throttling it. I'm also braking it at the same time. I'm going down, and it ends up going a hard left. I'm turning it and braking at the same time, so it doesn't really stop. It just kind of slows down. I end up doing this. I fly off. It rolls over. I'm very embarrassed. I run in. The scooter's banged up. I'm banged up. I'm bleeding on my knee. I wake up the next morning, and my foot's super sore. And I felt like I didn't break it, but like I could barely walk on it. 2 days past was the weekend. Get back to it was fall, so it wasn't the regular season. It wasn't during the season.
Yeah.
And my excuse was I was doing power cleans and I dropped it. It rolled on my foot.
Blamed it on the strength coach.
No. I blamed it on myself dropping it.
Oh my gosh.
And that was fun.
Hey, I've had that. I've had those too.
But I didn't blame it on the strength coach. I blamed it on myself for
yeah.
dropping the weight
I
and
know.
it rolled on my foot.
All right, who was the trainer?
Could have been.
I don't think Truck.
See,
I
that's
don't-
what I say. This is where we stop.
No,
I don't
not
think-
strength coach. Truck would have.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah. Oh, who was the trainer? Bo Lowry was it? No.
No, who was the trainer?
Bo left. It was John Michelini.
Poor John, man.
Yeah, but it was good though. It was in the fall, and I was fine. I got through.
How
it.
much did he believe you?
0%.
He acted like he believed me. I don't think he believed me very much.
You know how hard it is to drop a power clean on your foot?
I didn't drop it directly.
Well-
It dropped it, it bounced, and then it just rolled on my
Oh,
foot.
you're too wide
Yeah,
on your
these
stance.
stories could go for days.
Yeah, no doubt.
Because I've heard it all in my time.
It was a low moment for me.
Yeah.
I got very lucky.
Yeah,
very
you
lucky.
did. You could have. There's no telling what could have.
And then I had to call Grant and tell him that I broke his scooter.
A lot of those things that they were cheap too. A lot of that I saw, people didn't have Suzukis and Yamahas and
Yeah.
Kawasaki's.
They had off-brands.
They were made in China, and some of them didn't have brakes. A lot of them didn't have brakes. Did you have one?
I did not. I kind
Yeah.
of wished I did, but I didn't have one.
Yeah.
I learned from that point. My motor vehicle skills were probably. I should
Yeah.
stop at a car. I probably shouldn't do anything with two wheels. It's probably not the move. On a different note, right? Obviously, we talked about what LSU has and also what they don't have going into this weekend, right? As a football guy, not LSU in particular, just talking football terms. When you have a team that's short in the secondary or in a specific position, secondary for us this weekend, they have three guys that are not out, they're not playing. Zay Alexander's hurt, and the other two guys are out by coach's decision, which I want to get into in a little bit as far as culture goes and what you believe in that.
Yeah.
How do you defend a team? Do you go to zone? Do you get creative with blitzes? Do you have a situation how do you protect these guys as best you can and put them in a situation where they can succeed, especially if they haven't been on the field that long?
Well, you don't want to. I mean, I'm the strength coach here talking, but
Right.
whatever you do, you want to make sure that you're not playing soft. That's
Right.
the most important thing, and that starts up front. And you got to make sure that those guys are ready, because you have to look at what they're good at. And the quarterback, the one thing that he does a really, really good job of are deep balls. So you're going to focus a lot on pass rush, and harassing the quarterback. You said it. You don't have to. I mean, it always helps to be able to knock them on the ground and, rub your face mask on them like Chase Pittman, against Alabama.
Chase Pittman was a
Brody
bad
Croyle
man.
against Alabama, and LaRon Landry and some of the great games that our guys have had against Alabama quarterbacks, So you want to harass that cat. You get a shot on him, take the shot, no penalties, because it's different than when Ron played.
Of course. Ron wouldn't have made it, I don't think, right now.
No. He struggled to make it through practice every day.
Right.
He was hardly making it on the clean side then.
I think he'd be kicked out of the game pretty much every game.
If you're getting kicked out for what Sanders' kid did, then I don't think
Yeah.
LaRon was going to make it.
He would have gotten at least 3 targeting penalties.
Yeah.
Over the course of one
So you got to harass the quarterback and get after the quarterback, and then you got to be able to you got to defend the run. And the thing about Coach Saban is he's going to try to run the football. He's got to run the football, and because that does so much in the passing game. And so it's going to be interesting to see. It really is. But I think you can't be soft in coverage. You're gonna because if you're soft, he's going to find a weakness and he's going to attack it. And he's going to keep doing it all day.
Got to continue to tackle that too. You know what I mean?
Yes,
you
got it.
Yeah. Catch it, you got to get him down.
Yeah, you can't afford in a game like this the margin of error, and it doesn't matter what the records are. It doesn't matter. It's LSU versus Alabama. You got to play mistake-free football, and you can't. You got to tackle well. You got to have great ball security because it's going to come down to something like a turnover or a big play on special teams. You got to play mistake-free football the whole game.
Do you see Alabama's defense being able to stop LSU's offense?
Well, we don't know until the game.
Right.
Don't know until the game starts. But LSU has scored a lot of points, man. Holy mackerel, they have scored a lot of points.
Offensive line's gotten way better.
Yeah.
It feels like they're kind of feeling themselves a little bit right now.
Yeah. So Coach Saban is going to be ready. It's Alabama versus LSU, so he's going to have those guys ready. But I see Jaden playing well, man. I mean, he's hot, and there's no reason for them to take their foot off the gas and keep pressing, and I think LSU is going to play really well against them.
Now, I know what side of the opinion that I'm on, but I feel like across the LSU fan base and kind of sometimes even inside the program a little bit, this question, if you will, has kind of become a thing, and I feel like I know what mindset or what thought process brews the question, but with where this Alabama game is placed during the season every year, and there being 2 to 3, I think, remaining regular season games after it, are you opposed to it being where it is? And if you're not, how hard is it to, if it doesn't go your way, finish out the rest of that season without having letdowns, if you will?
Yeah, and that's the toughest thing, because that's when so much emphasis is placed on this game. And the stakes are so great. While I say that, I think of Coach Saban, because he would always say it's just a regular game, Right. And he would say it all week long. It's just a regular game. But everybody's like, no, this is
it's not
a regular game.
You said everyone.
You shake your head, but it's not a regular game. This is a huge game, and it's really tough. It was always tough for us because the stakes were so great, and we had sometimes young teams, because when you have a lot of guys go pro, you're faced with that dilemma with sophomores instead of juniors and seniors.
Right.
Guys that have been forced into these leadership roles that they shouldn't even be in. So that was always tough for us. That was always tough, and it's not supposed to be, but it is, because they're in the Western Division, and the race this year for the Western Division with Ole Miss coming on like they are, you cannot afford, especially when you already lost to Ole Miss. They got one on you. So, you can't afford to let down at all. I mean, the stakes are high. I mean, it's game week, and it's game week.
You fired up a little bit.
Yeah.
This is Bama week.
Yeah.
I remember when I used to walk into the weight room when we trained there as a baseball team, and it was Bama week. I got a better workout in because you could just feel you could feel the juice in the weight room heightened.
Oh yeah, you raised the black flag, man.
I like the implications of it, because
Me too.
I don't. For me, like, the thought process of this game being week 3 or week 4, there's a ton of the season left, but I like it to where, hey, we've gotten games under our belt, they've gotten games under their belt, they've had a chance to get hot, we've had a chance to get hot.
No doubt.
Hell, they got the bye week, we got the bye week.
Yeah.
You get a chance for it to mean a lot in a situation where it's, you're getting their best and they're getting your best, and whether you like it or not, the standard is this.
The standard is the standard.
And like you said, this is in the West, so it really doesn't matter which team has the higher. This game's the standard in the league as it is anyway. So I always liked it on this side.
I'm getting fired up.
I love it. It's good.
And a dead man has to walk this week. It doesn't matter if you got a sprained foot or a broken collarbone. It's Alabama versus LSU.
This is the week where you see guys that they may not practice until literally just helmets on Friday. You're like, wait, he couldn't walk on this day.
They're in.
Yeah, I wouldn't have it any other way. And the best thing about playing in the Western Division and playing the SEC, your next 3 games are huge, every one of them. So
Yeah, I mean, you got, after Alabama, you got Florida, you have Georgia Southern, and then you have
A&M.
A&M.
Yeah.
And, obviously Florida got mollywopped against Georgia.
They did.
They came out
Still
guns.
Florida. It's LSU, Florida.
Still LSU, Florida. No, that's at home. That's a good
That's
thing.
the weird part too, because in the past it's always been.
Yes.
You've gotten some Arkansas. It used to be Ole Miss.
Yes.
Used to be after that game.
Yeah.
Which, don't get me wrong, like it's always there's the rivalry there, so it kind of plays. But it just seems a little different with Florida and A&M kind of sitting after that right now. That's a little different.
You talked about leadership, right? And we talked a lot about this last week. Lloyd has his opinion on it, and I would love for him to chime in at some point on this conversation. But we had a conversation last week, and I don't want to talk about individual players. I want to talk about straight philosophy, right?
Mindset.
Any team. Team X is not Team LSU. If Team X hires a coach to come in and do a job, and that job, part of that job is to rebuild a culture, so to say, right? And he brings a couple players in, they're not fitting that accountability that he's trying to establish. They're not fitting into that culture that he's trying to establish. And they no longer are playing, but they're still on scholarship. They're no longer playing until they start doing the things that are right. You get to a game of this magnitude and you're not as deep in that position group as some would hope, and you feel like those are probably two of your better guys. How detrimental to what that coach is trying to do, how detrimental is it to the team if he says, oh, you know what, we actually need them. We're going to let them play even though they haven't done the things necessary to get back on the field. How quickly does that lose the locker room?
It depends, because the ultimate goal is to win. And so
Thank you.
He started with
the
that for a
ultimate
reason.
goal is to win. And I've worked for coaches who refused to do anything that was going to hurt the team. And now you have systems, and hopefully, you're not a very good team if you're having a lot of those issues to begin with, okay? So great teams don't have that. But if you're a great team, everybody, and here's how it is too, and y'all know this, we've all been on teams where a great player did something wrong and he got kicked off, and everybody would just be like, man, it sucks to be him.
And
Let's
elevate
go.
their game.
Yeah, let's go.
No
Sucks.
doubt.
I'd hate, and good teams are able to do that. Then, sitting around, I wish Johnny was here, or I wish, Louis. I wish they hadn't kicked Louis off. A good team is like next man up. Let's go.
And at the end of the day, like that guy is your teammates, but he's also your competition. So now that next man up, you have an opportunity to do what you've been waiting to do all year.
See, and I think really, really, really good teams are self-policed, right?
Absolutely.
But I do think a coach's mindset of literally setting that precedent all year, as in like, hey, injury happens,
right.
hey, Johnny's sick, he can't play. You give guys or Johnny's not doing what he needs to do here, it's your opportunity to play. Meaning, like literally, say if it's in a game and I've been asking you to do something, you just won't keep your head outside. Hey, come on, you come sit over here, I got another guy to do it. If you've been setting that mindset all year,
right.
Now when stuff like this does happen, other dudes do realize, oh, this is my shot. Right. And to what your point earlier is, if you allow said guys back in, if they're still not doing those things, well, when they go to work out at 7 a.m., he no longer is going to get, as a strength coach, he's no longer going to get the same effort he had been getting out of those guys, because those guys realize, well, it don't really matter what the hell I do.
All right. So, and like he said, you set that precedence early, and so it's not a problem. Any good team any great team that we've all been a part of, that's how it was. If it's not that way, and it's been wishy-washy all season long, then you're not going to be that good of a team anyway. I've never been on a good team where discipline and the team rules and expectations weren't top of mind every single day, every moment of every day.
Yeah.
And that's the way it's supposed to be.
I mean, Jared told a story, and I said this will be the second or third time we've talked about it, but you told a story when you were playing, was it 5, 6, 6?
No, 7.
2007.
Yeah.
They went to Florida, and they got mollywopped, and that's when Early
Josh
went
McManus.
down.
Yeah.
LaFell went down. They had a bunch of receivers get down. He was a freshman.
Yeah.
He only knew the X. And who was the other freshman?
Chris Mitchell.
Chris Mitchell only knew the Z. And they're like, when next guy's up, and they ended up not going in. Walk-ons went in because they were not confident in the freshmen knowing the other positions, and they said, I'd rather put these guys in the job than put the freshmen in. Did I say that right? I don't want to
Yeah, no, that's right. But I mean, to the point that he just made, I've seen other teams where things were not held accountable like that throughout the year, and I don't even have to point at examples throughout the year. You just go look at those teams' record at the end of the year, and you're like, oh, well, that's a pretty mediocre team.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, I mean, that's just kind of the way it goes,
Right. And on the flip side, like when something like this happens, right, and there's other opportunities, and you kind of feel like you're kind of against the wall, and you're doubted, and you're not supposed to do anything, and all these guys are coming in there young. They're almost too young to realize anything different. Like, oh, I'm getting an opportunity at the biggest stage. Sometimes some of these young kids will just surprise you and rise up to the occasion and end up playing and end up saying, well, you know what, maybe this guy's a lot better. Maybe he's a gamer. Maybe this guy's, you put him in there, he's going to do what he needs to do in that situation. Do you have any examples? Have you seen anything like that happen in your long tenure?
Yeah, I mean, that normally it's like in the front seven on defense. Right. Seldom can a guy just come off the street and, be that good as a skill position player.
Right.
Joe Burrow walked in and was the dog from the very beginning. But like the big offensive lineman, when Emory Jones went down, he steps up, and we didn't miss a beat.
Right.
So that's situations like that are always the norm, in my opinion. But the key is to do everything that you've got to do to be the very best that you can be, and when an opportunity comes, you're ready for it. And here's the bad thing about it, and I've seen freshmen get an opportunity like that, go in the game and mess up, and then it just destroys them. And then they walk around with their head down for weeks, that they dropped the ball or, jumped off sides or got a penalty. You just got to put that behind you, and you got to move on. You just got to keep playing. And that's, it goes back to when I got to play in college. I never thought I was going to get to play, but guys get hurt.
Clay did tell me he knocked 4 helmets off of one game.
Yeah.
That's what he did say.
That's the type of game. So it really doesn't matter, because that's the type of game. That was against Murray State a long time ago. But anyway, that's the type of – that was so Murray State. Yeah, that actually did happen. But this is a type of game where it's a helmet throwing game, and guys are going to be playing their butts off, and guys are going to get an opportunity to go in there and make something great happen, and it will be the first play that they've ever made of that significant, and they're going to be a legend someday.
Love that.
Coming into this week, like, obviously you were a part of this thing for so long, and it's been a bye week for so long. Coming into this week, what's more common? Are you having to get people to play up throughout the week, or are you having to, I need you to calm down. I need you to stay on task here?
Yeah, so the nerves, it's really like you want to tell everybody chill out. Like the thing that we tried to do in the weight room is turn the music up louder, more yeahs and back slaps, because the pressure, because of the open date and all of the work that you did to prepare for it, and then you had the weekend off to watch football and listen to them talk about, while they're commenting on one game, they're talking about LSU and Alabama.
Right.
And so you're just trying to create an atmosphere, we did in the weight room, to lighten things up, release some of the pressure, because the game is still 6 days away, so you just got to chill. Let's go. Let's do what we got to do. Because normally, if you have to giddy them up, you don't have a chance.
Right.
So the key is to keep them calm, stay focused, and try, honestly, not to make it bigger than what it really is, or bigger than it already is to everybody in the state of Louisiana.
Because it's not that it feels like it is, but it's not the last game of the year. You've seen this happen so many times, especially with an LSU team where – in my time, it was Arkansas. Every time you got built up so much for
that was a long time ago.
Yeah. But you got so built up for the LSU Alabama game, it became the game of the century every year. And then if it fell flat, it felt like the season was over. So
for some people, but not the people that were on the team and fighting their butts off. Your best players on those teams, man, they didn't. I mean, just keep playing.
But that's what, yeah. But I guess that goes to the point. Whatever, like Mikey was saying, when you have players, especially it feels like for Team X, extenuating circumstances when you have guys go down and you have people that are still on the team but not with the team. I'm just wondering what could be the possible scenarios that would keep them out of playing or what they haven't done.
Yeah.
Like, is this what are the extenuating circumstances that it could be?
Yeah. You never know.
Yeah.
It could be a whole slew of things, right? It could be.
I would imagine that
not
whatever
being
it
on
is that
time.
got them off the field, which is we don't know, and it should always be that way, is they haven't checked the boxes that they needed to check to get back on the field. That's what I would imagine.
Regain the trust of saying, hey, you know what, you've done what you needed to do, whatever it was that you weren't doing right.
Right.
You haven't proven to me that you're doing those things.
Yeah, you
right.
got to go with what you got, man. That's what makes this the greatest game. You got to line up because nothing matters. Mike Tyson said everybody's got to play until they get hit in the mouth, and you just got to work. It boils down to fundamentals, man. Tackling on defense, catching the ball, and blocking on offense. And I think this game is going to boil down to special teams, turnovers, and big plays.
I do think, too, like there's another thing when it comes to this point in the season where Game 2 and Game 3, the leniency of setting the culture, and I think it becomes a little bit different. But at this point, those freshmen have been here for 3 months in this program. Yeah. They've been learning this defense. Anymore. They've been learning this offense for sooner or later. We got them here because they're on scholarship for a reason. They can play. So sooner or later, it's going to have to be, if your number's called, it's time for you to play.
And this will be a good measuring stick. Hey, you either can do it or –
right.
We got some work to do.
Yeah, so this kind of reminds me, so I'm starting to get fired up and reading this.
Yeah.
I was waiting for this.
We were playing Georgia.
Hot.
I think we were playing Georgia Tech in Chick-fil-A Bowl, and Travis Daniels, somebody was hurt, and Travis Daniels had redshirted all season long.
I remember this, yeah.
And he gave up his red shirt to play in the bowl game and played lights out. Lights out. And so you just never know, man. Some cat's going to roll out there and play his tail off against Alabama. And everybody.
They changed the red shirt rule now. You can play 4 games.
Yeah.
And still get redshirted. So.
Oh, Travis had a decision to make, and Saban was, from what I've heard, he was looking for him on the side. Like, he posed the question, like, do you want to go in or not? And he was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
It wasn't even a question.
Well, so here's the interesting point is we've all talked about what they might do, what we can't do, et cetera. What about LSU just comes out and decides that we're going to pound the ball, we're going to run it,
Hold the ball.
and just control the ball game because they can score whenever they want. They can. I mean, we've outscored Alabama, I want to say it's like 132 points this season. Yeah, when you look at the scoring, it's not even close. I got a few. I like scoring by quarter.
Yeah.
That was always one of my favorite stats. That's not that common because you can see the personality of the team and how quick do they start. Are they fast starters and how strong of a finish are they? And in the second and third quarter, LSU has been unstoppable.
Right.
I mean, unstoppable. And so. Hopefully we score enough points and we run the football, and we don't have to, worry about Alabama playing any offense. That's what I'd like to see.
It's an interesting point you bring up about them running the ball because they kind of did that. They kind of used that game plan, that blueprint against Missouri earlier this year.
Yeah,
but when you go into Bryant-Denny and you can shut up 100,000.
Yeah,
and you do that from the start by continuing to punch them in the
Pound that
mouth.
rock,
That goes a long way throughout a game by just keeping their offense on. Because let's be honest, when you watch them play this year, they can run it a little bit. But they're a big play away, and that's how they get there. That's how they've won games this year. Is when they can hit big plays over the top.
And that's all. Yeah, and
if they can't do that, 'cause they're not on the
they can
field.
do that now, anytime they need to.
Right.
So run the football when you have to, and then when you need a first down, throw it and get that first down.
Run the football, stop the run, make Milrow throw it. Right? Their offensive line hadn't played great. Maybe the front 4 can get pressure on, move them around a little bit. That could make don't get beat over the top.
Hey.
Some errant throws, interceptions, something like that.
Coach Jenkins is going to be so fired up for this game.
He was fired up from Missouri.
Listen,
He yelling over the shoulder of Brian Kelly at the ref.
He almost got taken out on the sideline.
Even know how fired Coach Jenkins is going to be, how fired up he's going to be for this game. Like, the hair's going to be literally standing up on the back of his neck, and he's going to be snorting like a bull, and he's going to be ready. I'm telling you, man.
And you've seen obvious improvement on the defensive line.
Yeah, it's obvious, yeah. But but also, and you never know about the dynamics of these young teams, these players, and what it takes to get them charged up. I mean, it's just like, sometimes it's like, flipping a light switch. You're like, whoa, wait, where did these guys come from?
Right.
But it was obviously enough of a spark that it triggered some enthusiasm throughout the group, because it's, and I've always heard his nickname as being like Yoda, but that's kind of like what it's like, because that man he's coached LSU, I think,
six different
times.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could you imagine that?
Yeah. So, and he's going to be fired up. That's one guy you don't have to worry about whether or not his position is going to be ready to play, and he's going to coach him every second of the game.
And he has a unique relationship with Saban, because he's been with him
on
and off for as many times as he's been with LSU.
Yeah, unique enough that it means everything to him to respect him by his group playing great. That's the best way a coach can show respect to his mentor or mentee, is by having their group play lights out. And Coach Saban would respect that, so it's going to be a great game.
So I know you love the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
Come on.
When y'all open up with questions about whether you're going to play zone,
I'm getting you off the line of scrimmage.
It's going to be
off
physical.
The line of scrimmage, because I know you love the line of scrimmage. So I got to ask this question, because it's the narrative around it at the beginning of the year was there was another man for the job. Then it's gone into, well, it's been solid. And then when you actually look at the stat line right now, it's impressive. What's your thought process on how kind of under the radar Jaden is kind of going this year?
For under the radar, as far as people that don't watch football, or they don't understand it, or they have an agenda that they're supposed to push, because he has been lights out. And the thing that was most impressive to me is when I saw him in person, how smooth he is in everything that he does, and how fast he is. And so, when people, he does what he does, and I'm going to throw this is from the cycling world. It's called panache, and I think it's French for style. All right, so panache. He performs so effortlessly, and he's never grinding. He doesn't look at you with this look on his face of like his liver's being torn out of him. Because sometimes you see football players in a game and they're wretched looking. Yeah. He's so smooth, man. He's so calm, and everything he does is done so effortlessly. I think people underestimate him. I really do.
I think that's a great point you bring up, because I never really thought about it that way, but I think he does everything so
smooth, at
ease, that it bothers people that when they look at the stat line that it is what it is. He's like, well, he didn't do anything, and I wasn't impressed with what it looked like, but this is what it is.
A quiet 500.
Well, and he doesn't do anything to draw any attention to himself either. He's not flexing. He doesn't throw up the Heisman pose.
You don't really see him screaming.
No, he just goes out there and plays, man. And, it's really uncanny how dialed in he actually looks, even on the sidelines. And that's one thing that I've noticed, is that on the sideline, even if he's on the headset or he's talking to his teammates, he looks so relaxed, so calm, yet so dialed in.
Right.
And I think that because of that, he does what he does with no panache, and it's just that's what they said. That's what they say about that's what they said about Lance Armstrong. That's why they hated him before they knew he was doping.
Right.
So they said that he won. It was too easy. It looked so easy when he does it that I think people underestimate him, and it looks like he's just some regular dude.
Agreed. I think that he slippery is like probably a lot of people say he's slippery. But I think to your point, if you look at any professional athlete if you're a normal person looking at any professional athlete and you watch them do something, you mentioned this before, they all look like they're doing something extremely hard, very easy. So everybody watching on TV thinks like, oh, I can do that, or just do this. It's that easy because that's what I'm seeing. Well, in reality, it's not that easy, and I think he does that to an even more of an extent.
Yeah, so it's like, all right, so for me, and I don't, I'm baseball illiterate when it comes, like when y'all start talking baseball, I'm out of this comment. And I've seen 10,000 games but in my life, but it's at a whole nother level. But that's the way the LSU baseball team was this year, with a guy like Paul Skeens who could just go out there and shove every time. And it made it look easy. And then we've all sat through baseball games and you're like, holy mackerel, can this guy just throw a strike,
Exactly.
And it's like that when you watch, after you've, coached, after you've watched Joe Burrow and then you sit and watch Jaden, and then you look at other quarterbacks. Like I watched football on Saturday just like y'all, and y'all watch quarterbacks and you're like, holy mackerel, this guy looks like a robot out there. And then you see Jaden just like floating and just making these plays. It looks so smooth.
Yeah. I think that's a lot to be said, and I think people probably should notice that more, right? And respect that more. I think people take that sometimes negatively, like, oh, he doesn't look like he's trying. Well, he's trying. He's just that good, that much better.
He's done the work on Monday through Friday.
Yeah, no doubt.
Like that's what whenever there's an interview with Rich Eisen with Joe Burrow.
Yeah, that's one I talked about last week. That's one of my favorite interviews of all time. Like Joe got pissed when he asked him, if he doubted himself, right?
It shook him. He's like, who me?
Yeah, like no.
Like he was going to punch you.
He was not happy.
I know all the answers.
He was not. He was not happy. Speaking of not easy, right? The Moffitt method is not easy, but that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Right. That's a good thing. We talk a lot about training in here. Obviously, your background not only is it in football, but it's training football players and high-level athletes. You've created the Moffitt method. Before we really get into that part of it, I want to talk a little bit about, we're just going to talk all about fitness. People think, oh, you just work out. Yeah. You can just work out and you can get, you can look better. Part of that is you got to eat a little bit better, right? Diet's a big important thing.
Diet is the most important thing.
And that's what I'm getting at, right? I think people feel like, oh, I can go out there and I can just work out just because I'm working out, I can eat whatever I want. It doesn't really work that way. How important is the diet to you?
I'm a prime example of that. You cannot out-train a bad diet. You can't.
Yeah. I mean, look, you sleep better.
Can't outwork a roo.
Recover better. What's that?
You said you can't outwork a roo.
You can't. Now, tomorrow's Halloween. You're having a nice little gumbo at my house. It's great.
Oh, it's definitely gumbo weather, man.
No doubt.
It's when it gets the hardest.
Gluten-free gumbo.
Yeah.
No, definitely not.
There's such thing. That's not gumbo.
Yeah,
there's no gluten in.
Don't invite me to the house if that's what.
I'm
not coming.
Tyler Shelvin, Tyler Shelvin, no rice in the gumbo.
Yeah.
And I generally don't know the answer to this next question I'm going to ask you, right? So when you go through the Moffitt method, and it gives you a program of how to train, right? Do you have any? Obviously you're not a nutritionist or a dietitian, right? But like if somebody had to ask you a question, say, hey, where would I go? Is there a way to like direct them to resources, or not if it's a person, but
So the number one question I always get is about creatine monohydrate. That's the number one question before, and then second would probably be supplements or protein powders or weight gainers. And, food is always the last thing. So I have presentations. I have, and it's stuff that I've begged and borrowed and stolen from everybody. But, that's what coaches do.
Yeah,
that's what a good coach does, man.
Look at Michigan.
Like, I've never invented any. Oh, that's bad. That's a whole other subject. We'll talk about that in a minute. After, I can't go without talking about that. Anyway, so what I do normally, I have, again, stuff packages to explain that better than what I can. Yeah. But, a person has to eat well, a person has to, get sleep. So those are the basic things that we talk about first. But they're in our app, there is a section for those type of, we can call them plug-ins or additions based on, and we have them from everything from eating and sleeping and, I did stuff today on plyos and all types of stuff. So those are just little extra things that we give. And that's the best thing about my profession is when people would ask me those type of questions in addition to the weightlifting, because I got a lot of weightlifting questions and I'm cool with that. But all of that it's all important. It's a major part of my job, but without proper nutrition and proper rest, proper hydration, and balance in your life, none of the stuff that I always got paid to do works. It doesn't. Again, you can't out-train a bad lifestyle. You can't out-train a bad diet. You cannot out-train poor sleep. You can't.
Heard that, Lloyd?
Watch me.
So I check.
Wait,
check.
but so through the Moffitt method, like you're obviously getting a chance to continue doing the things that have been important to you, the things that you have known for a long time, things that you're very good at.
The only thing,
yeah. I would also, I don't know, maybe hunting too. You're probably pretty good at that too. But there's been one thing to me that I think has been like under the radar for so long, and probably over the past 10 years, it's kind of really taken off of people understanding it. But you speak about rest. How important or how much more maybe has your thought process changed on naps as far as not just sleep at night, but naps as well?
That's right up your alley.
Yeah. So actually, in Europe and the school of thought that my philosophy and everything is based on is the European model of training. And, in the 60s, they had their athletes napping. So napping is something that the Europeans, like the Chinese, the Bulgarians, and all of these great Olympic, my favorite sport, of course, is weightlifting and wrestling, as far as that goes. And that's where all this other stuff came from. And so it is critical. Napping is something. Now, there's a difference between napping and then sleeping. And so there are a lot of hormones that, and that's the good thing about napping. Your body releases growth hormone, your muscles recover, and then the key is not to oversleep, and I think the window is like 40 to 45 minutes, and then cut it off. So that's something that's very important, and number one, if you can get somebody to sleep 7 or 8 hours a night and then recommend a 15, and really mindfulness, 10 to 15 minutes of mindfulness or meditating is actually better than 40 minutes of sleep.
Right. Wow.
And you can do it more often, and it has it actually has, now that they have found out, that's even more beneficial for you because you can do it sitting in a chair. Yeah. You can do it at your desk. You can do it, after you eat. So that's something that's even greater than taking a nap.
I think over time, the nap, the thought about correctly napping or how to nap correctly has gotten way better in sports. Yeah. But I still think like today, outside of sports, just in everyday life, and a lot of people still think of nap as like a lazy negative, and it's not necessarily that if you're doing it correctly.
So they say so, and I just go by what people told me. But Bobby Bowden was a big napper, and he said that's what extended his career. He would eat lunch and he'd take a little nap and then go to practice. So it's been proven over time that it's beneficial for you, and not a lot of people would do it because if I laid down and took a nap, Jill would call and say, well, honey, I'm napping. She would say, napping? You got to do this. I'm like, Jesus.
This is why I'm napping, because I know I got all that stuff to do. Give me a little
45. That's all I need.
I can't imagine taking a nap. Not in my house. But yes, it's very beneficial for you. Yeah. Very.
I try to tell that to my high school teachers. Look, this is health.
I think there's a time I probably should nap
still a time
in class. Probably.
Oh, I definitely nap some in class. You know you do.
Until you jumped and then you shake the desk. You're like, damn it. Everybody knows I was
got
just falling asleep.
got the book dropped on your desk.
Uh-huh.
Or reading classes. Your turn. What page are we on?
Yeah.
No doubt. If you want more information on the Moffitt method, you can visit the moffittmethod.fit.
Yes.
That's the website.
Or email us at info@themoffittmethod.fit.
Or email at info. The email address is info@themoffittmethod.fit. They will get back to you within 24 hours, usually within the same day. If you email them at 10 p.m., probably going to get back to you the next day. Maybe not, though. Maybe he's napping
he's
after the day. Maybe
No,
he's,
I'm not napping.
No, not napping. No, he's sleeping. He's going to get back to you the next day within 24 hours. Moffittmethod.fit or info@themoffittmethod.fit for all of your fitness questions or questions about what the Moffitt method has to offer to you.
Coach, you have Mikey hooked on this thing. He came in talking about it today.
I'm doing it. I told you I'm doing it.
Yeah, we're ready.
I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna have. Now, I don't know about the before and after pictures. I don't like. I'm not that guy, you know.
No,
but
please.
I'm gonna go, in the mirror and like same picture over the eyes, and like make sure, no, I'm not gonna do all that. But I'll let y'all know.
It's not the essential part of the model.
You know what you ought to do?
We'll see the
is
after
like
for sure.
Time yourself. Could you run a 20 without popping your hamstring?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right, run a 20, have somebody time you, Jared time him. Make sure you get him good too.
Now can I run it in like a straight start?
Yeah,
I'll
just
do
straight 20-yard sprint, vertical jump, or broad jump, or both.
Yeah.
Sprint, vertical jump, broad jump.
I don't know if I want to see those numbers right now.
Well, no, we don't. We won't tell anybody. We'll just the percentage
Baseline.
of change.
I like that. I like
percentage of change because that's more performance based.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we can do the other one too. We can do. Wait, you go to F45, so they have that thing you stand on. Don't they have some kind of little testing thing?
That one as well.
Yeah, do that, and then do that pre and post.
Machine's on
That does
fire.
your body fat and everything.
Yeah. All right. I'll do it.
Machine is strict.
Yeah, but let's make it performance based too.
Yeah, I like that.
I'll do this.
Before you go.
Step
Yeah,
level
you
down.
want to talk a little bit about Michigan
I
football?
want to get to John or Jim.
Golly, man.
Keep saying John. He keeps
Jim.
saying John. It's Jim.
Jim Harbaugh.
Oh, Jim Harbaugh.
So y'all think he knew about it?
I mean,
Come on.
well, honestly, how do you go and say that with a straight face? I didn't know what he was
Somebody
doing.
that's on your staff, as long as he's been on that staff, and all of a sudden he's missing during this, and there's just no.
You don't
Well,
think-
if that were for real, that guy would have been fired immediately. Is he still on staff? He's
No, he
No,
got
no,
cut
with
loose.
pay though. He's suspended with pay.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think he's trying to. I think he's
Doesn't
just trying
seem
to.
like much of a suspension. Sounds like a
I think he's
vacation.
just trying to be able to get him to pay him as long as it's still like, hey, the inevitable's coming. You're gonna have to be gone.
Yeah, you better not
I
talk
was
about
the
me.
strength
No.
coach
You're
at
gonna have to
LSU.
be gone, but I'm gonna pay you until they say you have to be gone.
Yeah, I was the strength coach at LSU.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there was no reason for me to know that information. Okay,
Right.
nor did I have the means. But if I would have pulled off something like that along those lines, I would have been fired immediately. Like that is nuts, man.
Nuts.
It's crazy.
I mean, they just pulled back Jim Harbaugh's.
Contract extension. He was going to be the highest paid coach in the Big Ten.
The crazy.
So they offered it to him. He hadn't signed
right.
it, and then they pulled
Well,
it back.
I've never worked for anyone that wouldn't have known that was going on.
Right.
And then, or would have allowed that to go on.
Now, let me ask this: in the college football world, right? Sign stealing in baseball is a rite of passage. But when you do it legally, like when you're you have to get to second base, and you have to see what they're doing.
Oh, absolutely. In football games, there's a guy assigned trying his best. And then during the week, somebody would call you up and say, hey, we think we got assigned for X, whatever. Okay, what is it? And then you write that little note, but most teams, you have a pretty good idea because, like, I know Jimbo's signals probably didn't change that much, but you have like 3 or 4 guys on the sideline. That's why everybody's got the different color shirts on now.
You have 3 people doing it.
Yeah, you have live. You used to be able to have hand signals to tell you who was live. Now you got to put a pink shirt on for some of these guys. But you have ways of disguising it, so you don't really worry about somebody having an organized like
Syndicate.
schemes. We were talking about Lance Armstrong. That's the equivalent of Lance Armstrong's doping in professional soccer.
I mean, you're going there, you're filming the signs the whole game, right? So now you can go back and you can go and study those signs. You have
they were
as
on the
much time
hard
as you
drive.
want.
They were on the server there. The videos of his things they said was on the server at the University of Michigan.
Right.
Now, he could have been a guy. Now, Doug would have known that, okay? Doug would have never let that happen, you know? I mean, you just don't.
No.
You would have had, everybody would have to know that there was a place on the server for that to be stored.
Right.
I can't imagine any coach that I ever worked for would have ever done that.
The mind-blowing part for me is that, so if I take it to football and I take it to baseball, you know, like what the Astros did,
That's using technology.
I mean, and it's so much of an advantage that it's not even funny.
I'm glad you said that. Yeah.
Right? And on this side of it, it's crazy to me that you could go that far and do that much unless you were getting literally the side this play is being run to and if it's run or pass. Because at the end of the day, you still got to stop it. You still got to know what exactly is being run. Like, there's so much that has to go on.
You're right. You're right. There's a lot that has to go on.
And I'm just like, how much were you actually able to get by doing this? And that's what I think the next level of finding out what's going on, because it's like if all you were able to get is either pass or run, to me I'm just like, how much did that really help you? Was that really worth what's about to happen right now?
Yeah. So, funny story. So, when I was coaching at John Curtis, Coach Larry Dotrieve. Anybody know Coach Dotrieve? He was Ryan Perillou's coach at East St. John.
Yep.
He was coaching at Opelousas High School in Opelousas, and they were undefeated. We were undefeated, and I don't remember this guy's name. They had the number one player in the country. He played safety. He ended up going to Florida State, but he was the parade number one player of the year, All-American. And so we had scouted them for every game, almost every game that year, and we had their signs. And, I mean, we had verified that we had their signs from scouting, not from cheating, but doing it the old-fashioned way. Right. And so we go into the game, and we were going to look at their signs. We were going to signal and run our play. They changed their signs.
How did they find out you had their signs?
Well, they didn't. It's Larry Dotrieve. You know, you're not going to pull the wool over Larry Dotrieve. So here's my point. People knew that this was going on.
Right.
They had to have known.
Yeah.
And I think there were rumors that people from teams had seen them on his sidelines. The interesting thing is it just came out, because you can't have an organized system, because coaches, they come and go, they move within the same conference. They have friends that coach in the same conference. People knew that this was going on, and now they're undefeated.
Right.
All right, and so this has come out. So that's college football.
Do you think?
Ohio State?
Yeah. Do you think Ohio State maybe anonymous tip?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd have to think.
This had
people knew that this was going on. The guy had been
at.
He was flying, and did they have a staff? Do you know if they had a staff of guys, or it was just one guy?
He had a few guys underneath his.
In the Michigan manifesto.
And a nice
guy was the director of the
manifesto.
position.
Yeah, this man wrote a 600-page manifesto that he updated
Daily.
Wait, say what now?
He had a 600-page manifesto called the Michigan Manifesto, where it was his plan to become the Michigan head coach. So he was detailing everyday journaling about how he could make.
Oh, he just probably titled it that, or y'all?
Yeah,
he titled it that. They found it on the computer. So this man he was obsessed with Michigan football, and he was in the Service Academy, and
he was a Marine.
Maybe he could be a
bad
what
actor.
they call it, a
Renegade.
Lone shark.
I know what you're talking about. I don't know what they call it.
Lone wolf.
Lone
Maybe
wolf.
he was. Maybe he is the lone wolf. Maybe Coach Harbaugh didn't know.
There are some rumors out there that it was people were on staff paid, like this was common knowledge around the staff, but it couldn't get back to Harbaugh to protect his job.
Okay.
He could play.
I don't believe that.
Me either. I'm just saying that's what they're rolling out.
He knows everything.
Yeah.
And
he knows everything.
You know, like I know, like a coach that's been around that long, for someone that's on your staff and has been on your staff for as long and is literally not like a GA or something like that, you know when those guys are missing.
Especially someone who has that much success.
Because people say, "What's his job?"
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, why is he here?
Why is he not here today?
Hey, why does he have
Why is he not here today? Like, you know
$55,000
that's
in
come
travel
across-
expenses?
You know that's come across Coach Harbaugh in period 6.
yeah, why
Where
is he at the
why is he
home
not here?
games, but he's not at the away games?
Why is he not here?
and-
Yeah.
Where
Why,
did he-
where's
where's
his
his money going?
$55,000 budget? What is
Okay.
it going?
Here's
All
the-
in Venmo.
All right. Here's a funny story. So,
T-shirt.
I was a rookie strength coach at my first bowl game at the University of Tennessee, and we were in the hospitality room, during the week of preparation. That was the best thing, before bowl games and the playoffs. You'd go to the book. Sometimes you'd stay there for 10 days.
Yeah.
Some teams from up north, if they were playing in Florida, they'd go for 2 weeks for a bowl game. Oh, vacation. Anyway, so we were in the hospitality room, and one of the assistant coaches says, "Hey, would you like me to get you something to drink?" I said, "Sure." So he goes up to the little bar area up there, and he's getting my water. And I see him, and he's pointing, he's talking to it. Yeah. He's pointing at him and this older gentleman, one of the senior ADs. They're looking at me, and he points, and they're talking. So I can tell they're talking about me. So it was Dan Brooks was the coach, who retired while at Clemson. Great defensive line coach. He comes, and he sits back down, and he hands me my water. And I said, "Hey, who's that man?" And he goes, "It doesn't matter who that man is." And I said, "No, who's that man? What were y'all talking about?" And he goes, "He's an AD. His name is Mr. Bob Davis, athletic director." I said, "What were y'all talking about?" And he said, "We were talking about you. He didn't know who you were. He's seen you in here every night. He just wanted to know who you were."
Drinking water neat.
Drinking all that
And
water.
I said, "I can't believe he doesn't know my name." And he goes, "Are you stupid? You don't want anybody to know your name."
Right.
I was a rookie coach.
Yeah.
He's like, "You want to fly under the radar. You're the last person that he needs to know.
Yeah.
The best thing you can do is stay out of that man's way, so you never have to go talk to that man." And I was like, "Oh, so that was a valuable lesson." And now that's the way that guy obviously was. Nobody ever said, "Hey, who is that guy and what does he do?" Because every place I've ever been, that's the number one question, because they're looking to cut somebody all the time.
And I can promise you that Coach knew who you were. Fulmer knew
Yes.
exactly who you were.
Oh,
So I know
Coach
Jim
Fulmer
Harbaugh
knew
exactly.
exactly who I was.
Yeah.
And the amount of time you just spend in the building together when
Yeah.
people are gone or people come in, you're like, well, "Who's this?
Yeah.
Why is he not here?
What's he doing?
Where'd he come
Like,
from? Everybody knows.
Where's he?
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
How come he's never here? What schedule is he on?
I guarantee you there's players there, whether they were playing every down, walk-ons, whatever it is. It's like, hey, man, where is he?
Yeah,
why
what's
he
he
ain't
doing?
never here on this day? Well, why is he not here? Like, people knew. There's no,
Well,
way.
they were probably all right. So some of those guys on the sidelines that do, especially while I was at LSU, we had players that signaled. We didn't have extra staff members.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We had players that did all of our signaling. So somebody like that would have known the players. They would have, because and sometimes the guys on the sideline that are trying to steal the signals are a player.
Right.
And so they would have known that. I mean, it's just mind-boggling.
Great
When
point.
I heard this, I was like, "You have got to be kidding."
Yep.
It's
crazy.
like, so go ahead.
I
Go
was
ahead.
say, well, yeah, because the guy you have, just like in baseball, like if there's a coach that's really good at stealing signals, he's probably giving tips to a player, knowing that the player's doing it. So
doubt.
now all of a sudden, the signal stealer, he's absent today. Where is he at?
Where's my guy?
Somebody knows, dude. Just somebody
See,
knows.
that's like cool espionage stuff too. Like I kind of like that kind of stuff,
Right.
Like espionage.
Yeah.
You're
a spy.
Yeah, the guy's a spy, like a real spy.
He's a Marine. Like this guy was doing it. Like, it took him a little while for him to get caught. He finally got caught.
Yeah,
now Jim Harbaugh's getting up in the NFL.
He lasted a little longer than
Funniest thing is their worst record was the COVID year, where they couldn't go to away games. Nobody could travel and watch games.
So now, really? He's been there since COVID. huh?
Mm-hmm. He's been working with Michigan since 2016, on and off as an assistant. Yeah. So he's been wanting this job for
It's
a while. He
amazing.
thought he was going to be the head coach at some
That's
point.
crazy.
Espionage.
Yeah.
What do you think this means for college football, maybe getting with a headset or a radio like you see in the NFL? Because there's no reason to not have one. I don't understand why college football has never made that leap. You have the funds.
Yeah, so they have it in pitching now. So, the first time, I didn't know that the pitchers wore the bracelets.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting there watching the game, and there was no signal. And I was like, wait a minute. And he was...
Espionage.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So they do it in college baseball now.
And then Major League Baseball, they have the speaker in the hat.
Yeah, so I don't know why they don't do it in football, and I'm sure. Well, here's the reason why: because it's expensive. And there are schools, So if LSU is playing Tennessee Tech,
Would turn them off.
yeah. Well, okay, there you go. But then you got to rely on some bum signals. Yeah.
It's a great idea, and I completely understand it. It just you remember when Appalachian State was beating everybody? What if there's another Appalachian State that comes through and you're able to do all of your practices and everything you do with the headset, and then now for this week, because they don't have the money to do it, we turn them off, and then you lose that game?
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
It's like James Madison.
Exactly.
Is playing somebody. James Madison is ranked in the top 25.
I know.
Now, do you think they're better than Mississippi State? I mean, do you think they're ranked because they're undefeated? If Mississippi State played James Madison, what do you think the score would be?
I don't think Mississippi State could play dead in the Western.
You don't think? Oh, wow.
I think I'm with you. Though.
I'm 100% with you with this one. Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking, man. Mississippi. I mean, now there are teams that they may beat. Okay, but
that's
it's
why
hard for me to imagine that they line up and beat Arkansas. Yeah.
Well, right. Yeah, it's the SEC versus FCS school.
Yeah. I mean,
But
that's
you
hard
play
to
who you
imagine,
play.
But
I mean,
So I got to watch football, for a long time on Saturday.
It was great. I did too.
Yeah, great football.
Yeah, but it wasn't. There wasn't. I thought there was gonna be good games.
Yeah, well, there were a lot of SEC schools that were off.
Yeah.
Like I watched the Duke game.
Yeah.
I watched that.
Oregon State lost.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, how about Kansas beating Oklahoma?
Yeah.
How about
I was
that?
locked into that game.
I said it before. I said I think they're gonna win. I wanted to take them outright, money line. I didn't.
Hey, you know who the last person was to talk to them? the week of their open date before they left for the weekend?
You?
Me.
I did it. Look at that.
I did it.
What'd you tell them?
Can't tell you. I don't waste that here, man. Ain't no way I'm telling you that.
But look, you're not gonna get the credit, but you.
Hey,
deserve
that was
the credit.
cool, man. I was
awesome.
cheering. I was pulling for Kansas. So I went up there. Matt Gildersleeve, the head string coach, used to work here. And he was an intern for us at LSU. So he had me come up and, talk to the staff. I was, staff development, continuing education. And then we walk over to a running, they had the travel squad, they were going to do like a stretch and stride, a run Friday morning. So we go walking over there and we walk into the indoor, and then he leans over without any warning and goes, "Hey, would you like talking to the team, when we're done?" I'm like, what am I going to say? No, I'm not going to chicken out. I said, "Yeah, Coach, I'd love to." And I started getting fired up, man.
I love that.
It was awesome.
I wish I was a fly on the wall.
That's how some
it
of the
was-
best ones come right there.
Yeah,
I love that.
it was awesome, man. And then I pulled for him.
Where's your chair?
I was at Coombs. Coombs
wedding?
had his wedding, so that was a big part. I almost jumped up and screamed when Kansas, finished the game. So that was awesome.
So how do you think this national media goes when LSU goes to Alabama and beats them? They just try to completely denounce the SEC as if they're not as strong as they've ever been.
Especially the Western Division. After the whooping that Georgia put on Florida, man, Georgia's
Yeah, they figured
they're Georgia.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, they're Georgia.
The quarterback's playing way better.
Yeah,
Carson
they're
Beck's-
Georgia.
Yeah.
And then, when a
Well, I
player,
would just say they're
when
gonna
you
lose
lose
at
a
some point.
player like,
Stetson Bennett.
Stetson Bennett, when you lose a player like him, there's going to be a little bit of a change, because just imagine if Jamar hadn't played for us or, Justin would have been out.
I think not stumbling over the time so far this year is a bigger feat than what people think. Like
doubt.
you said, Stetson's been the quarterback there for how long now?
Yeah.
Right? Like to
3
have
years.
someone
Yeah,
come in
7
and
years.
not find a way to lose over this, that's huge, man.
And then you
That
lose a
stuff
guy, then you
matters.
lose a Brock Bowers, who was like a Jamar, a Justin, of like your number one weapon.
Right.
No doubt.
And they just kind of kept it moving.
Yeah, so they are for real.
Yeah. No doubt. The other tight end's a badass too.
They look
they
just like
have
him.
a roster full of badasses.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's why Georgia is still going to be great because
Kirby
of their
Smart
roster.
may be the best motivational guy I've ever heard. in his speeches.
Really?
I mean, I say best. That's an exaggeration. I haven't heard all of yours.
You know,
I haven't heard all of yours.
No, not me. No, no. I was just making a joke because Kirby. You know, I remember Kirby as, you know, he and I were like flunkies together. You know?
I mean, you know, they always post it. And like you see it, and I'm like, damn, this kind of fired me up.
Yeah, but you know, as a young coach, you always want there to be another coach that the head coach or one of the coordinators is going to, you know, pick on. So
he was that guy?
Yeah. Wow. Well, we've all been that guy.
Yeah, of course.
One time or another.
You have to work your way up.
You know, Kirby. Yeah, he's there. That program is in a good position, and when they can pull off a win like that, that's just an example of the type of depth that they have.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. Cruton. Before I let you go,
yes.
As always, thank you for spending an hour and a half. I love that we just keep going.
No kidding.
Hour and 20 minutes. Yeah, but I'm sorry. You know, it's great.
No,
we just keep going.
And
it's great. Before I let you go, you don't have to tell me
like in the strength and conditioning room.
Oh,
we've been working out for an hour and a half
or anything, but I took the over. It was 60 points this week.
Oh, wow.
Do you think that they cover that? You think they score more than 60 points between both teams, LSU, Alabama, this weekend? Like, you think it's that high scoring of a game or no? I know you've been in a lot of them, so like you just never know. But
yeah,
hard for me to imagine LSU stopping them.
Yeah, that's not your typical LSU Alabama game,
right?
What was it in 2019, though?
Yeah, it was a lot of points.
It was a lot of points.
It was like 70-some points.
45, 41. Is that right?
80-some points.
Yeah, 80. Dang. I don't LSU. Well, let me say this: LSU could score that many points.
Right. I
mean, they have outscored Alabama considerably this year, so they could easily outscore that many points. But it's Alabama, so it's hard for me to say. I think it's going to be a close score. I mean, I think it's going to be a 1 or 2 point game, just like it ought to be. I hope it is. You know, I hope it's a great game.
Me too.
I don't see them scoring that many points.
Well, even in the 2019 year, where it felt like LSU has been heralded as the best team of all time, that game came down as 45-41.
Yeah, and Tua was hurt.
Right. Mm-hmm. But
they still scored that many points.
They still scored 41, and LSU had a chance to kind of shut the door going into half and then get the ball back. Then Alabama always seems to make 1 or 2 plays to get themselves back in it, especially at Bryant-Denny.
They're stingy in the second half, too, on defense.
Yeah.
Their defense is stingy. You know, we've given up like 79 points in the fourth quarter this year, and Alabama's given up only like 32. They're stingy.
Yeah.
I mean, but now on offense, and there's a lot that goes into that, but we light the scoreboard up. But they're stingy in the second half.
Yeah.
Their fourth quarter is going to be stout too, and they got good depth.
Yep.
You know,
it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a great one.
I'm looking forward to talking about it on Monday with you. When you come back in next week. It's going to be great.
Hopefully I'm right. I don't know.
I hope you're right.
Yeah, I hope LSU wins.
He took the over. He actually
I hope they score 61 points. And I hope LSU wins by
31-30.
Yeah, that's fine.
33-30.
We'll go with that. Win by 31.
See, I don't gamble, man. I would never.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't. I'm not good at it.
And you know, I wouldn't even put 5. Me personally, and I was always right there in the middle of it, and I could never predict a score.
Yeah,
I never knew.
I should know better, but I do it anyway, and I lose my money.
You gamble?
Time to time. I haven't much this year.
No, I'm not like.
I like knowing the lines and looking at it and kind of giving my prediction and see if it kind of goes that way.
Yeah.
So
easier to do that when there's no money on the line, but.
Pocket bet.
I'm not very good at gambling. I probably should retire from it. So
we don't gamble. The one thing you should gamble on is baseball.
Yeah,
I do gamble on it.
You just would rather gamble on the NFL and college football. That's everybody.
I know. I watch it more. As always, I appreciate you.
Guys.
We'll have you back on next Monday.
It's always fun.
We look forward to it every Monday.
Yeah, thank you.
Every Monday. We'll see you next week. Enjoy your week. Enjoy the cold weather.
Yep.
Gumbo season.
Yep. Gumbo season, baby.
All right, guys.
Don't be good.
See ya. God, it's always a treat. It's always a treat.
But knowledge in there.
A wealth of knowledge. I mean, I was trying to get him out here in a reasonable time, and he wanted to talk about the Michigan thing.
Yeah.
Funny thing about the Michigan thing is when you look at the Kansas Oklahoma game, you know who was notorious for sign stealing was Venables. All this news comes out, they lose their next game.
Kansas, Oklahoma.
Not shocking.
He was their head coach, and the story came out about LSU and Clemson and how they had their signs.
Right.
And Venables was apparently one of the first to do it when it comes to sign stealing. And then all this news comes out, and it feels like they turtled a little bit whenever that
by the sword,
opportunity.
die by the sword, apparently.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we can't do that this week, and then Kansas you get beat by a backup quarterback in Kansas.
It did. It was the backup quarterback too.
And they threw that thing in the lake.
I just can't wait because I know. So obviously, Texas goes and beats OU, right? OU goes and loses to Kansas. If LSU goes and beats Alabama, they're gonna say, "Oh, this thing's wide open. The SEC's not that good. They got one team. that's
Texas
kinda
beat
starting to go.
Alabama.
Everything's wide open." I'm just like, that is just not as true as you think it is. The one thing I will say, though, I really do believe this. I do believe with the portal, with NIL, the ability and the COVID situation, the ability, and LSU's a benefactor of some of this as well, too, obviously. But the ability to have good quarterback play kind of dispersed throughout the country is more prevalent than it's ever been. Like, I get it. Texas played a backup this past week, but if the portal and NIL isn't a thing, Quinn Ewers is still at Ohio State. He's not at Texas right now.
Jaden Daniels is
Jaden Daniels is not here. You know what I mean? So, like, Bo Nix is not up in
Oregon.
He's not. DJU is not at Oregon State. He's just there's the ability for that is because I do believe, I do believe that there's a. And don't get me wrong, like obviously not just quarterbacks can transfer. Duh, I get that. But to be able to have good quarterback play, it's the biggest impact position. Like I can take a D tackle and he be a number one guy and he transfers somewhere. Yeah, of course. But chances are because there's 4D linemen, chances are because you're going to come off the field sometimes, lesser of those guys are going to transfer because they're going to play. There's only one quarterback playing everywhere. So when they're not getting that chance to play, wherever that said spot may be, or it's not going right, the ability for them to go to a different spot is, to me, why you see a little bit more of quote-unquote parity. But I do think up and down the roster, SEC still is where it's at.
No doubt. No doubt. And I think you made a good point about who's James Madison.
Yeah.
Is James Madison
like, are they going to win that in the trenches if you put them against
Arkansas?
South Carolina?
Yeah, no, probably not. Arkansas, probably not.
Probably not.
Mississippi State,
probably not.
Probably not. But
Vandy, probably not.
Probably not.
Like Vandy probably not.
Like who would every SEC team be favored against them?
Right.
You know, I would say, yeah, probably. You know what I mean? Like
I find it hard that it's not. I would find it hard that it's not, but it's crazy to me that that's where it is because I don't think people kind of really understand. And honestly, whether they understand it or not, I think that's just the agenda that's being pushed because they want that agenda to be pushed when this thing opens up and it's 3 super conferences and there's about to be how many is there in the playoffs? 8 now next year? Is it 8 or
12 team playoffs.
I think that's the narrative they want to be able to push when this thing opens up and there's 3 huge conferences and there's 12 playoff spots. Anybody's got a chance. You kind of have to start pushing that now. So it's kind of crazy to see, and it's wild. But this is a pivotal weekend for college football as a whole, I think, just to kind of see where it goes.
Okay, we talked about this. Speaking of the weekend, we talked about this.
Ladies and gentlemen, the weekend.
What?
Never seen that video of Daniel Craig on Saturday Night Live? When it's the weekend performing, and every time it's on Friday, it rolls out from all the accounts like, ladies and gentlemen, the weekend. And it gets everybody fired up because it is the weekend.
It is the weekend. So they've announced that the Florida game, LSU Florida game, is going to be, they're going to announce the time on Sunday, right? Because obviously they're going to wait and see what happens with this game. 3 times that they're going to pick from. CBS at 2:30, ESPN at 6, SEC Network at 6:30. My question to the team is what results are going to warrant what game time? What do y'all think?
I'll go first. I think it's a 2:30 game if LSU wins. Doesn't matter what Florida does.
Okay.
If what?
I think it's a 2:30 game if LSU wins. It doesn't really matter what Florida does.
And so then the other ones just depend. It doesn't matter. If LSU loses, they're just going to pick one of the other 2 games.
Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to see is what the other options are.
I think it's a primetime game.
6 o'clock ESPN, 6:30.
No, I'm talking about
other
through the
games.
SEC schedule.
I think it's a primetime game of both wins. I think if LSU just wins, it's the 2:30 game, and I understand that CBS gets the pick first. Duh. I mean, I get that part, but I still think it's a primetime game, if not, because I'm just thinking about the classic LSU-Florida games in the past, for the most part, have usually been night games.
And Georgia, Missouri is this weekend too, huh?
Yes, that's the 2:30 game.
Yes, that's not next weekend. So I'm with you. I think that if LSU wins, I'm with you, Lloyd. I think it is a 2:30 game only because CBS has that distinction, and I think CBS is going to want. That's probably going to be the best. What's the other schedules?
Okay, so for week 11 or November 11th, which I believe is week 11, it is Alabama at Kentucky.
That's not going to be it. I mean, I guess if Alabama wins, it would be because they would be the highest ranked team.
Right. And Kentucky's kind of in a free fall. Vanderbilt at South Carolina.
Not it.
Those have all been announced. Alabama, Kentucky is at 11 a.m.
Yep.
on ESPN. Vanderbilt at South Carolina, SEC Network at 11 a.m.
Okay.
This is where it gets hairy. Florida at LSU, no time announced. This is the kicker. Ole Miss at Georgia.
That one.
That's
I
a
think it's gonna
game.
be the
That
2:30
feels like
CBS.
bump and a bump.
That's going to be so. Yep. I think it doesn't matter. I think if Ole Miss is off, no, they're not off this weekend. So if Ole Miss wins,
With Georgia being the 1 seed, I think that's the
that's
game.
the 2:30 game. CBS is going to pick.
That's the game that they want, I think. That's
Yep, I didn't know that was that weekend.
Me either. But they just had Georgia on at 2:30.
It doesn't matter.
I know. I understand. And then you have Ole Miss playing A&M this weekend, so that they're waiting to see what happens.
Obviously, but like
Yeah, but they usually don't wait this late. It's usually announced earlier in the week. But
it's usually announced like tomorrow, the Tuesday before. I know I got a little. No, it's gonna happen tomorrow, and you're like, no, they already announced it, and I was like, well, they actually did announce that it was gonna be announced on Sunday.
yeah.
So I was wrong.
It's okay. That's why I did the doc. The rest
That
of
makes
the,
me feel like it's gonna be a 6 o'clock game.
And the only other game in question is Tennessee at Missouri.
No, I mean. I think that's going to be between either SEC Network or at ESPN. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't
6 or
think
6:30.
It's not that's not the CBS. I think it's LSU, Florida,
That sounds
or
like the SEC Network game.
yeah, or Georgia.
I think it's between.
I think Georgia, South Carolina. I mean, I think
Georgia,
Georgia
Ole
Ole
Miss
Miss is going to be the 2:30 game.
Especially like I said,
even
that's,
if that needs to be that game because at the time it's really for
a whole lot.
outside if.
It's worth more than LSU Florida is.
Yeah,
No doubt. That's why I think even if LSU wins, now if Ole Miss loses,
Right,
and
'cause
LSU wins, I guess they could flip that.
And,
right?
And you have the other implication is Missouri plays Georgia this weekend, so maybe a little bit of an upset watch because Missouri is better than people think. But
even
if
if
they pulled that, then I think that's when you have a lot of things fall into place for LSU to play at 2:30.
Even
I'd
if-
rather it be at night.
Yeah, me too. Even if Missouri beats Georgia, which I don't think they will, they're I think 14, 15-point dogs. But even if Missouri beats Georgia, Georgia has one loss. That's still like an Ole Miss wins that game this week. They played next week, and Ole Miss if they win, they're winning the West.
Right.
Right, and so that still has more implications than the LSU game, even if LSU wins. You know what I
Agreed.
mean? So
Good. Give me a night game.
yeah, so it seems like 6 o'clock ESPN.
See
would
it,
be great.
Freds.
All right, I changed my mind. 6 o'clock ESPN, I'm with you. You still sticking with 2:30?
No, I didn't know that game was that. That is way more implication.
I mean, why would they not just make that a decision now?
Because you have to. I mean, if you can wait, which CBS has afforded the opportunity to do, if Missouri loses and Ole Miss, if Missouri wins, beating Georgia, and Ole Miss loses to A&M, then that kind of doesn't have the same.
But it's still a better matchup than LSU Florida. I guess LSU if Florida wins,
Then
I
now
guess
LSU
Florida
is playing for the
could
West.
ruin their- yeah, I still think 6 o'clock.
It feels like those colors seem right for a 2:30 day game.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Florida at night, like Jay Mitch said, that's what it usually is.
Yeah, if Ole Miss were to lose this week, I could see that not. If Ole Miss were to lose this week and LSU were to win this week, I could see them not getting that game and LSU getting the 2:30 game. For the sense of that now LSU is kind of taking the Trump spot right there if they run the table.
You look like Steve Jobs right now.
Me?
All
I wish I
black.
had the money that Steve Jobs had.
Yeah. Well, he's dead. So, well, allegedly.
I had. That's what I said. I wish I have the money that he had. I hope it's
This
a
Ole
6
Miss
o'clock
thing
game.
is getting down. They need to hurry up and lose.
Well, they're going
I
through
figured they would go this way.
They're going through their stretch right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like look, A&M's gonna fucking punch him in the mouth, dude. They're gonna.
Playing
A&M's
for
defense
their
is
life.
good.
Yeah, you saw. I mean, we called that one. The defense is real. Spencer Rattler had what 5 intentional groundings.
Yeah, but I wouldn't blame even all that. Like Spencer Rattler didn't get much help.
No, that's what I'm saying. That defensive line,
Yeah.
like they feasted against South Carolina.
Yeah.
They were, and that was a terrible time for Spencer Rattler.
No doubt.
That was not fun.
Tell you, you know what Spencer Rattler's biggest fan is? Lewis Riddick.
Oh,
I mean, it was, hey, this guy can make every throw on the field.
Off
He's going to be a
platform.
really, really, really good NFL quarterback. He's going to make it. And look, he may. I will say this.
that's the
about
throw you
Spencer-
see on Sundays.
Yeah. I will say this about Spencer Rattler. He is super talented, and I wasn't for him. Like when I watched him play at Oklahoma and I watched him,
He's changed a lot.
he has matured
Has he?
over the last couple of years, at least from watching him on the field. Like the way he's done his deal. I
saw him
don't know
talking-
him personally.
I mean, let's be honest. If you would have never seen the quarterback show, you probably would have
I
never
never
thought he
watched.
was
I've
immature.
never seen it.
You never seen anything about it?
I'm only going based off what I saw him in college. I never watched the quarterback.
Oh,
Honest to God, hand to
Oof.
God.
Oof.
Yeah. So I've heard he was not good on the show. I heard he was all time
bully.
Yeah, just not good. And then I watched him at Oklahoma. Also didn't look good. And then he just kept going. And then all of a sudden, he goes to South Carolina, and I didn't start out not great. And I felt like towards the middle of the half of last year, I was like, oh, okay, like he's kind of
Shifted.
a little bit. And then he comes back, and it seems like this year he's like, okay,
I get
this
it.
is what I need to do. Yeah, figure it out. Now, maybe it's a facade. I don't know, but
I wouldn't put it past him.
I'll say it, yeah.
But you saw him talking up Nicholas Harbor on the sidelines after that drop, and he was like, actually, that seemed real.
No, for sure. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Now, Nicholas Harbor, super athlete.
No idea what he's doing.
Well, that and seems a little shaky with his hands a little bit.
Well, he's a
You know what I mean?
defensive end.
Can't have it all.
Yeah, right. And now, look, I'm not saying you can't learn it, but
Just ask Cam Newton.
ask Cam
Can't
Newton.
have it all.
Well,
Just can't have it all.
what a move by Cam right there.
Get out in front of it.
That's a rich man flex.
Uh-huh.
That's what that was.
It don't matter
Corey
anymore.
Seager up top, 2-run homer.
He's still
Why do we
doing
not have
that.
this game on?
I don't know. Texas up 3-0. I'm glad I took money line.
Nice. Way to keep that in your pocket.
Well,
inning
it
is
was literally like last minute before the show. I was like, shit, there's a game I got.
What
put
inning
that
is
on.
it?
Third. Top third.
3-0. Top 3.
Top 3.
Might live bet the Diamondbacks.
Their starter's about to be out. Mad Max is starting.
Oof.
You know,
Big
got some
proponent
things.
for the small percentage of people with heterochroma out there. He's an advocate.
and can you explain to the people that don't know what that is?
2 different colored eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Like
He's
the-
like two opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
One's blue, one's brown.
brown.
Yeah.
Looks like one of those dogs.
Remember when they used to have like literally just a close up of his face, his eyes, like on the stadium in Washington, so it was in color. So it was like literally one big blue eye, one big brown eye. You're like, wait, that's not real. Did they mess that up? No,
How does he
that's
look
real.
like that?
That is real.
Well, Jimmy G's throwing an interception in the end zone. That's not looking good from over 34.5. Actually, maybe
Yeah, maybe
looking
it is
great.
good.
Yeah.
What's Devontae doing?
I don't know. I haven't looked at the stats. All right, let's get to the Seggies so we can
Watch some games.
watch some football and baseball.
Oh,
and gamble.
today is the sports equinox.
It is. That was gonna. Yeah, my curtain call.
Oh, we'll go right into it. I'll do the
Okay.
thing of the day after.
Okay. My curtain call is. I didn't put it in there, but that was gonna be my curtain call. That's on me for not knowing. Today is the sports equinox. Only time all year you're gonna have all 4 professional sports or professional organizations having a game. You have obviously Game 3 of the World Series. You have Monday Night Football. You have I think 9 hockey games, and I think there's like 12 or 13 basketball games. Plus you have an MLS game.
What month?
It is October. One of the last days of October. That's what we talked about. Once we're done with all this, the last little bit of our show, I do want to talk a little bit about what I think about. We talked about, remember I said this was really good for baseball, not great for MLB as far as the matchup of the World Series. Game 1 of the World Series was the least watched World Series game since, even more so than the COVID World Series with nobody in the stands. So nobody watched that game. Less people watched this one. And I think it has something to do with, obviously, the matchup. You know, the Rangers, have their deal, but then you have the Diamondbacks, who I think people would rather the Phillies want to watch that. Name brand's not there, which is why I think it's good for baseball, right? You're bringing parity in baseball. You have these teams that aren't there. It's good for these guys who have lost 100 games 2 years in a row or 2 years ago, and now they're in the World Series. Not great for MLB because they're losing money on viewership and stuff.
Here, to piggyback off of that, the 2 leagues that are the model right now, which is basketball and football, right? It's very easy to say, like in basketball right now, we could probably rattle off 10 teams right now who you think have a legitimate chance of winning the NBA championship. Like right now, right? Football, there's a lot of teams where you're like, oh, man, the AFC has about 10 teams I could see getting out of the AFC. NFC probably got about 4. There's a lot of teams, right? The reason why I bring that up is because the 2 leagues that have crazy parity right now, and baseball is getting more parity, they've done parity and marketing as well for those players, and that's why those leagues have grown, and that's where they are right now. Just like you said, when you think about baseball right now, you think about that team, the biggest star that the Diamondbacks has is a guy that was in the World Series 15 years ago, Evan Longoria. Mm-hmm. Like, other than that, it's hard to name who's on their team. It's hard to put a face to the name even if you've heard it, because baseball is still behind on really marketing their players in mainstream media.
No doubt.
And so I think that's a big part of it.
Yep. All right, so we're on the curtain calls. We're going to do Mistake of the Day last. Curtain call is brought to you by our friends at Assured Partners,
And?
me.
Mm-hmm.
And my curtain call was obviously the Sports Equinox. You have 5 professional organizations having a game today. Only time all year it's going to happen. Jay, what's yours?
My curtain call will be the next member to join Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and Tiger Woods, which would be Magic Johnson is the 4th athlete billionaire ever, and that just became official, I think, this week. So
They should have an asterisk next to Tiger and have ×2.
Right, seriously.
Because he did it twice.
Seriously. So
Take my money.
there goes my curtain calls
like
to that.
that.
That's impressive.
My curtain call.
I feel like Shaq's not far.
Can't be. He's owns 6 million things in.
Well, Shaq needs to have like an ownership of a team, I think, to make him get over that edge.
My curtain call is to Steve Smith and the ACC, the head coach of North Carolina State.
Oof. I saw that.
Did not like what he said on game day, where he said North Carolina State, they may as well pack it up, wait for basketball season. And the coach seemed to hear him on game day because game day is awful popular now. And I don't know why.
I wonder why.
I know why.
I do too.
For some reason, people don't like him, but they'll get over that.
I hope y'all heard what he said too early morning.
Unbelievable.
It was unbelievable.
What did he say? I didn't hear it. I missed the very beginning.
He talked about soaking.
Oh yeah, I did. Well, he didn't.
No, he did. No, he literally.
I know, but
mentioned
I
it on game day.
thought it was AJ Hawk that brought it up.
On game day, he mentioned that there was more to do in Utah than something in soaking.
Soaking. Yeah.
Literally said it on game day.
Then, how about this? Cam Rising comes on and addresses the soaking deal. He goes, I want to talk about that. He said, that's only for the school down south Utah, not where we're at.
That's
and I'm like, okay, you're getting this
I'm
is great.
talking 7 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast. That's what he's. I'm like, bro, this man is on demon time always.
All the time.
They need that, though. They need that. It's been good. That's why the ratings are.
Yeah.
Did you see the scene on Friday? It was.
It's 2 game days in a row. You're having 2 game days in a row.
And the Friday one is like for a demon time. Like those kids are there.
Yeah.
FCC won't let me be.
It's what Barstool wanted. It's what they wanted Barstool to be.
It just shows the power of ESPN.
Yeah.
Like we got the everything.
Also, everybody thought ESPN was dead.
They are trying to actively sell it.
They came out with the financials. Not dead. Far from dead. Thriving, actually, some would say. Better than any Disney movie or show or anything that they do. Better than anything. They are
back on top of the rocket ship.
Doing it. What you got? Curtain calls.
My curtain call. It dovetails into that conversation.
Steve Smith in the studio. This ain't a basketball school. He can kiss my ass.
He can kiss my ass.
Tell Steve Smith in the studio. This ain't a basketball school. He can kiss my ass.
I love that.
I love that all coaches hear everything. They can pretend that they don't.
How about the dude, the coach for Charlotte?
Oh, that guy's been a big
cut off, like
yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's been around.
Yeah.
Something.
Like a nice set of rabbit ears. I love that the coach heard that and addressed it.
Yeah.
Mistake of the day.
First chance he got to.
Mistake of the day brought to you by Dozy Place.
Yes, which we need to visit soon.
Yes, we do.
They got a chili with my name on it. And leave it to the NFL. Something cool is happening in college. They raised their angry iron fist as Houston had an Oilers lookalike uniform that had come out, and the NFL put a cease and desist on it, saying you can't use those colors after.
Wait, but a lot of people use baby powder blue.
The color scheme is too close.
Ole Miss does the same thing.
It's too close. This is after that they.
But did Houston announce that it's a throwback to like it's Oilers themed?
I don't think so.
I mean, it pretty much is.
No, I know, but if they like announced it,
I mean, Ole Miss has these same uniforms.
But like, this is not
new. You can't copyright colors.
If it's citing trademark infringement, I mean, like, look at the uniform. It's the same stripe. It's the same. So that would have to be why what it is. Yeah. Not so much just the colors. That's probably why.
Yeah, design.
Yeah,
for sure.
Which I didn't know that you can trademark.
Yeah, right.
All right.
So that's just the NFL for you, just kind of putting their hands in a pot where it doesn't belong.
They're the best corporation in the world for one of the best corporations in the world for a reason.
That's charge. You want the Army to come in and do military appreciation? We got to bill you for that. Breast awareness, we got to bill you for that. That's why they don't do it anymore. They weren't ponying up the money.
Well, who wasn't ponying up the money?
Like the National Breast Cancer Awareness.
If you do something well, don't do it for free.
All right.
That is what they say.
Ain't no
Before
charity.
we go, if anybody wants to root on my bets that I have not been winning,
Put it out there.
Let's look it up.
Put it out there.
Let's look it up. Can you pull up the stats real quick?
I can.
All right, let me go. What we got?
We're worried about Jacoby Myers.
He has 0 catches.
I'm not that worried.
Yeah, but Jimmy G being terrible right now is good because you have to throw the ball a lot. Right. So
the optimism is strong.
What about Jacoby catches? Does Jacoby Myers have? I mean, 0 catches. Any targets?
1.
Okay. What about Sam Laporta?
Maybe not even 1. Sam's got 1 catch.
Okay, that's okay.
Maybe 2.
Okay, that's fine.
How many does he need?
Over 4.5. Yeah, they're gonna throw to him. He's gonna figure it out.
He really went heavy on this Oakland throwing the ball, huh?
No, Sam Laporta is a tight end for the Lions.
Oh yeah, Big Sam.
Yep. Jahmyr Gibbs gonna get it. Jacoby Myers tough. Jimmy G is. How many attempts does he have? You think? 12, 13, 10. Oh wow. That's not.
He said, "Oh wow."
That's not ideal. Yeah, but get down. You got. You got to sling it. You got to sling it.
3.
3 attempts?
Yeah.
How much time? This is the whole first quarter. I mean, half the first quarter, or is it over?
Second quarter starting right now.
Okay. That's okay. That's okay.
Hey, just sidebar. Remember when I asked you before the show started?
Hey, average 10 a quarter for the next 3 quarters. You're good.
I asked you before the
actually
show
would not
started,
be good.
How many times were you? It's only been one time this year where he's thrown for more than 34 attempts this year.
Yeah, but he's been out for a few games. Okay.
Every game that he's played.
Don't. Mikey's logic is infallible.
I don't know why I took that one.
Wait, as soon as I heard you say, well, it boosted it up to.
I wanted to go under. I did want to go under. I was like, I'm just gonna do it over.
Would you feel better if you took the under with his 3 attempts in the first quarter?
Obviously, I'd feel significantly better.
Maybe you should double down.
What do you live? Can you live?
You can't. I don't think you can live bet
attempts.
Props.
You can't do attempts.
We'll see. Maybe they'll get hot. 12, 13 attempts in a quarter. Maybe that's what's going to move the ball. Hey, look, they're obviously not moving the ball any other way. So let's try to throw the ball more than 3 times.
Brian Hoyer is still out there, Coach. 1 for 3. Brian Hoyer's on the bench.
Oh, don't tell me that Brian Hoyer's in the game.
He might be.
As long as he's on the bench, we're good. All right. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. We appreciate you tuning in to us tonight. Obviously, Moffitt Method Mondays are always a good time. We'll be back live in studio on Wednesday from 6 to 8 p.m. talking football, talking LSU, obviously. We're going to bring in some guys talking. Look, Saints are back, boys.
I know. I
Saints
tried to
are back.
claim them dead.
Saints are back. They're 4-4. I mean, look.
Show it to me twice in a row.
San Francisco's lost 3 straight.
In a row.
3 times.
San Francisco's lost 3 straight.
Twice in a row. Yeah.
Hey. Now, I'm not saying they're going to get home field because that's not going to happen. But 4-4, outside
you get
of
home field if you win the division.
Outside of, I'm talking about like #1 team in the NFC, but outside of the Lions, who have 2 losses, I think, 2 or 3 losses, and the Eagles, who have one loss, like they're technically only one game out of. They've only have one more loss than the fucking 49ers, believe it or not.
Well, 49. Yeah, they're still playing.
Yeah, they've got to those records a little differently.
No doubt, and that's my point, though. That's my point, though. It's like, I'm not saying they're that good, but I'm saying is like, hey, their schedule is very favorable moving forward. You have to play the Vikings, no Kirk Cousins anymore. Maybe Jameis Winston, though. You have to play the Bears, who don't have their starting quarterback.
You know what's so funny is I've never really looked at it that way before, but I've heard it a few times this year from various people. But we always sit here and say, hey, like they have a super favorable schedule moving forward. Don't you think these other teams are saying the exact same thing?
No doubt, exactly. You know what? I heard it last night. Whenever they were talking about Kirk Cousins' injury, and they're like, "Oh, schedule looks pretty favorable for the Vikings. They have the Saints." This, I'm like, well,
don't you think the Vikings are like, well, we got the Saints. Yeah. They ain't really doing
But
shit.
Here's the deal, though. If you're looking at it on the Vikings side, and I guess you can look at it on the other side too, because the Vikings don't have their quarterback. Saints have a really good defense. Obviously, that makes it a little more difficult on their end. Saints have an offense that's supposed to be good. They were good last week. Haven't been good the whole rest of the week. Now the Vikings do have a pretty good defense. Obviously, Daniel Hunter is still a beast. He leads the league in sacks. So, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but you don't have your starting quarterback. So, anyway, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Enjoy your Monday. We love you. We'll be back on Wednesday, 6 to 8 p.m. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you can't watch us and you like listening to us or anywhere you get your pods, enjoy Halloween. Happy Halloween. Happy All Hallows Eve. I think that's what it's called. Bundle up. I know you probably had an idea of what you're going to wear for Halloween. Now you're probably going to have to change that because it's going to be a little cold tomorrow and tonight. A little nipply. If you're walking around my house, I'm not telling you where it is, come stop in for a bowl of gumbo.
Oh, that's what you're giving the kids?
Yep.
Share size?
Yep. Just like one little spoonful.
Power rank your Halloween candy.
Pretty solid. It's very standard, like not bad candy, like no Dum-Dums or like candy corn or any of that kind of stuff. You got good chocolate. You have some M&Ms in there. You have some Reese's.
Skittles, Starburst.
Yeah, you have the candy that kids like to eat. So I'd probably rate it like a 7. I don't have the big full candy bars. When you got the
that's
house,
insane.
I'm like, okay, you're just showing off now.
Yeah.
You give me the big candy bars.
It's a Katie move.
I'm about 7 now. Hopefully you have enough. We'll see. We don't have our house super decorated, so it's like sometimes it kind of deters the kids from being coming.
That's a good thing.
They'll come. If you build it, they will come.
Exactly. You didn't build it.
No, I did not build it. I did not. All right. Enjoy
Monday Night Football.
Enjoy your night. Yep. Love you. See you on Wednesday.
Series.
Peace.
Peace.